That's right, behind the bench on a Wednesday. Happy Wednesday here on 1430 ESPN North. June 4th, how are we doing on this afternoon here on... You're listening to us here right now. As we get rolling here live on 1430, live on 1430 ESPN Fresno app, live on the 14 website. That's where you can reach us and watch us and listen. Of course, the live stream going as well, live on Facebook, on Twitch. Hello, live stream. Good to see you here on this lovely Wednesday. Hopefully you can come in and have some fun and enjoy the show and be a part of where we are. Of course, big thanks to Tony D for tossing it to us. Tony D, of course, his show, Sportsline Bulldog Hour with Tony D from 2 to 3, always on weekdays, of course, pending our regularly scheduled programming that we have here on the airwaves. But, of course, Tony D's got it all covered there. You can listen to his show live and on demand on the 1430 app, on 1430ESPNFresno.com website as well. Plus my show, the Behind the Bench show from 3 to 6 p.m. on weekdays as well. And also Paul Menner's show, the Paul Menner's show, Central Valley Sports Report live from First Ring Sports every Saturday as they go, 10 to noon on Saturday, every Saturday. Just a couple of shows left for Paul Menner's before he signs off for the summer and then gets back for the fall here on 1430. So that is where you can reach us, the family of shows that we have here on the 1430 airwaves all season long. All right, we have plenty to get into, of course. First of all, big thanks to our hotline sponsor, the Lee's Air Plumbing, Heating, and Roofing Hotline. The Lee's Air Hotline, we call it. 559-320-1430 is the way to reach us. 559-320-1430 is the way to reach us on the show. So be sure to call in if you got comments or want to be a part of the conversation here. Weather check. That is the high for today. Getting back down to 63 degrees overnight. Cooling in the morning. So, pretty similar. Talking savings of up to 76%. They are spectacular. So be sure to bring your trucks and your trailers because you want to pick these up because you're going to have to pay for delivery because of these prices being so low. So take advantage of the low prices today over at Fashion Furniture. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow for a segment of time. I cannot promise how long our show will be tomorrow, of course, with the Giants baseball happening before. And then we have to dip out at 4:30 for NBA Finals Game 1. Right here, you can listen to it on 1430 ESPN. Pacers, Thunder. getting set to go in Oklahoma City. So that's what we got on the docket today. That's what we got going on as well. Pleased to be here on this Wednesday. We got a good show for you. What is coming up on the show today, you may ask? We got a couple of good guests here on the show. Camryn Bracha is waiting for me, and he will be coming in here in about 7 minutes or so to chat about Fresno State football. His incoming, I would say, final season for him at Fresno State. Of course, getting ready under a new regime. We'll have plenty of questions for him and talking about the upcoming football season. Also coming up later in the show, in the second hour, we'll be joined by Jackson Moore, Barkboard. Jackson Moore, of course, has always been a great guest of ours. I figured it'd be a good time to check in with him after we have officially said goodbye to the baseball season and maybe talk some broader topics with Fresno State athletics, what it's looking like as we move into the final year of Mountain West action for Fresno State before we go into a new era, the Pac-12 era. So what will this season look like in the Mountain West side of things? We'll chat all kinds of different topics as well. Stanley Cup Finals getting going today. I will touch on some hockey. That's right. Yes, no fear. I'm going to be touching on some hockey a little bit here, getting ready for Panthers and Oilers. We'll talk baseball as well. Another frustrating game for the Giants last night. We'll talk some we'll do some 5-at-5 as well with the NBA Finals. And I think I have in schedule the Fresno State football schedule draft. We're going to try to draft the schedule today. We're going to play that game and get it rolling here today. The start of what are going to be the 4 scheduled drafts that we're going to have on the docket here. We're going to go in order. Fresno State will be first. Of course, then we will have the Rams on Friday. I'm going to situate that one. On Monday, we'll have the Niners, and then on Tuesday, we'll do the Raiders scheduled draft. So that is going to be the upcoming situation for our show here. And so we'll have some fun. Of course, these are us projecting what games are going to be big-time wins and trying to avoid the big-time losses. Whoever finishes with the best point differential at the end of the year will know if they won the scheduled draft. So I know this is projecting, but we'll know the winner by December. But I always have fun tracking these as we roll. So we got a great show. This is what we're rolling with here. And pleased to be joined in the other side of the glass. Of course, we got Jorge producing on the radio side. We got our video producer here today, Julia, as well, who's here. Tanvir will be joining us later, I believe. And just wanted to say hi to the people behind the glass over there. How are we doing, Jorge? You got your mic in front of you. How are we doing?
We're doing good. Working on some stuff. If you were watching us on, our socials, we had some audio problems at the beginning.
Oh, boy.
But I think we're good now.
Audio, good to hear. People need to hear the clear and clairvoyant voice of me, right? That's what they need to do as far as that's concerned. So hopefully everything is good to go. We apologize anytime we have any of those audio issues, but we're making it happen as we go along here. But we're here on this Wednesday. Wednesday's a busy day. We got a couple of guests obviously coming in, but it's the start of some really exciting times over the next week or two. Stanley Cup, NBA Finals. I love that they offset each other every day as far as the games are concerned. I enjoy these kind of like week and a half, almost 2.5 weeks of sports, and hopefully we get 2 series that go long. We had, obviously, the Stanley Cup Finals go last year. Of course, Jorge, I think I know which one you're more interested in if we're going to pick which one. But are you excited about this time of season, the Stanley Cup Final and the NBA Finals at the same time?
Yeah, I think it's a reminder of summer, because I feel like when both of them start, that's when the summer starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like NBA, it's a little bit more my what I actually watch.
Yeah.
A lot more, but I'm into the hockey.
I'm going to put on the hockey up here. We're going to have it on when it starts at 5 o'clock. Of course, they go back and forth. They have it on TNT this year. They had it on 2 years ago on TNT. So we'll see what happens with all of that. By the way, I've been misrepresented. I kept saying that it was Colorado that beat Florida 2 years ago. I made the mistake of saying that. Want to be clear, I've been saying the last couple days that it's been Colorado that beat Florida 2 years ago. No, it was Vegas. I forgot that it was Vegas, the Golden Knights that won the Cup 2 years ago. It's Colorado that won 3 years ago. So I misremembered the Vegas Golden Knights, but also because I didn't really care for that Vegas Golden Knights team, so I was trying to block it from my mind. But yes, the Knights did win a Stanley Cup 2 years ago.
People love that Vegas team because it was Vegas.
I was driving around town the other day. I don't know whose car it was, but said born in Vegas on a license plate and had a Vegas Golden Knights emblem, and then I had a couple of letters behind it, obviously. And I'm like, I usually you see that for lifelong fans who own a car like that. So someone really just locked themselves into that Vegas fandom and then decided, hey, I'm going to drive around in this car in California. I don't know. It was a strange license plate, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah, that was weird. Like, you were born in Vegas in 2014, or was it?
16, 17. I think the Knights started as a franchise in 2018, right?
Yeah.
They made it all the way to the finals in their first year. It was crazy. So that's just coming up tonight. Oilers, Panthers. Game 1 is in Edmonton. This is interesting because last year it was flipped. Florida had the home ice advantage. This time it's Edmonton that has the home ice advantage. We'll see if it matters when it comes to game time. So that's a puck drop at 5 p.m. Hey, we had some high school results last night, and I just want to run through these before we get to the rest of our show. So I wanted to give a special shout-out to some teams that were able to move on last night, and a special shout-out to teams that were in action last night. So we had baseball, softball, state playoffs, NorCal, D3. Congrats to Fowler. Fowler moving on. They will play Roseville tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Fowler, a 2-1 victory over Lincoln High. So Fowler is moving on and are a win away from a championship appearance coming up on Saturday. So Fowler, man, that'd be something special for the Fowler. What do they call them? The Red Cats, right, Jorge? The Red Cats of Fowler? I believe that's what they call them. Yeah. On the flip side, Kingsburg Falls 7-2. Viking season has wrapped up to Rancho Catate. So they are done. So Kingsburg is out, but a great season for the Vikings as well. Congrats to them out there. In D5, NorCal Baseball Championships, Matilda Torres, they see their season come to an end. They lose to Stevenson 5-2. So good season for Matilda Torres, just couldn't get it done at the state level. D4, SoCal Baseball Championships, Lemoore, man, they were so close to beating Banning, but they could not do it. They lose 3-2 to Banning High. So a good battle for Lemoore. Great season for Lemoore. Congrats to them on their season. Ridgeview, Central Section champ on the two side of things. Ridgeview beats Notre Dame 13-3. They await the winner of Estencia and Mary Star of the Sea, which plays today. So we'll see what result comes out of there. Corcoran, they're advancing with a 9-5 victory over University. Corcoran, the 1 seed in Division 5 SoCal. They are waiting to see who wins out of New View Bridge and Port of Los Angeles. That's later today. I believe that's at 4 o'clock. So that is on the baseball sides. Here's quickly the softball sides. Clovis North in the D1 NorCal Softball Championship. Hard-fought game against Whitney. Could not get it done, though. 2-1 final for Clovis North. So they see their season come to a wrap as well on that side. In D3, Liberty Madera moves on with a 1-0 win on the road over Foothill. Congrats to Liberty Madera for getting it done. We knew how dangerous they were. They get Hillsdale tomorrow, so we'll see if they can continue playing well on the road in this D3 NorCal Softball Championship. In D5, it was Torres that fell to King City 11-1. Great season for Matilda Torres. Congrats to them. D2 in the SoCal side of things, Menachie moves on. They beat Long Beach Poly. They win 3-2 over they will now play Christian. And that game is tomorrow. Eastlake beats Bakersfield Christian 3-2, so they move on as well. Woodlake is in D4 SoCal Softball Championships. They moved on, obviously, with the bye week, and they will have an opportunity to play either University or Marquez. They're still waiting. That game is going to be played today. So Woodlake's still waiting who they will be facing in their semifinal. So congrats to all the teams that have been involved in that. We will pay attention to that as well on Thursday and probably give some results out on Friday and keep you invested in the state baseball and softball run through as well. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Camryn Bracha is going to join me here in studio, talk about Fresno State football, his career, all that stuff. Coming up next on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader.
Giants baseball is here.
Chapman, it's a drive out to left center field. At the wall, it is gone!
Your home for Giants baseball lives on 1430 ESPN Fresno.
Double play! And the inning is over.
Catch all the action, home and away, on the Central Valley sports leader. Giants baseball, brought to you by Patrick James, Pioneer Equipment, Der Manual Insurance, Ed Dinas, and Thiessen Duker.
Warmer days and special occasions are on the way. Is your wardrobe ready? Jones Cleaning Center has you covered. Fast, reliable, and hassle-free. Use Fresno's only 24-hour self-service pickup and drop-off drive-through. Drop off by 9 a.m. and enjoy same-day service at no extra cost. From suits to sundresses and comforters to table linens, they'll get it all fresh and ready. Jones Cleaning Center, Fresno's top dry cleaning and laundry service for over 55 years. On Palm, just north of Herndon in Fresno, or online at jonescleaning.com.
At FFB Bank, we believe banking is more than dollars and cents. It's about people. That's why we're a farming-focused bank for hard workers, a future-forward bank for big dreamers, and a family-friendly bank that actually knows your name. From your first loan to your biggest milestone, FFB Bank has the tools to help you chase your goals, crush them, and score big. Because your wins are our wins too. So what can FFB Bank do for your business? Find out at ffb.bank. That's ffb.bank. FFB Bank. Let's win together. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Summer is right around the corner in the Central Valley, and the action at Valley Athletics is heating up too. Phil Benotti here to tell you about the big VBA College Coaches Camp coming on June 1st. We're talking about one of the biggest volleyball camps for high schoolers as far as recruitment with some of the biggest coaches in the area. Spots are limited, so be sure to sign up fast. Speaking of space, you can use the beautiful facilities at Valley Athletics for gym rentals when available. Pickleball memberships are also available as well. Just reach out for information at their website, valleyathletics.co. Valley Athletics, developing the athlete in everyone.
Whoever it was that said rainy days are followed by rainbows and pots of gold definitely wasn't in the raisin business. Rain in the wrong place at the wrong time can be a disaster, a crop disaster and a financial disaster. In short, it can mean there's no payday for all of your labor. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be that way. The solution? Crop insurance for raisins. Bowman & Associates, your local crop insurance specialist, has been writing raisin crop insurance for over 40 years. Bowman & Associates is one of the largest crop insurance agencies in the state and the nation. Call Roger, Kent, or Quinn Bowman today and let them design a policy customized to suit your individual growing needs. Time is running out to purchase raisin insurance. With the unstable weather patterns and the current low premium rates, now is the time to call Bowman & Associates at 499-2020. That's 499-2020.
Bowman & Associates, the crop insurance specialist.
License number OF64178.
The DQ Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Baskets have more flavor than your taste buds know what to do with. We start with all white meat, breaded, seasoned, and fried to crunchy perfection. Next, we double down and toss them in honey barbecue or new buffalo sauce. Serve them up with DQ fries, Texas toast, and house-made Hidden Valley Ranch, and you've got flavor on flavor on flavor. Get the Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Basket in honey barbecue or new buffalo right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
It would be a bit of an understatement to say there are plenty of men's clothing brands out there. At Patrick James, we're a bit biased. We offer comfortable, high-quality clothing at very competitive prices. Patrick James delivers impeccable classic looks that keep your wardrobe moving forward in a confident, modern direction. See for yourself online or come into our store on 780 West Shaw to find the style and brands you're looking for at Patrick James.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader. It is summertime, which means it's a good time to have a lot of great guests on here throughout this show. It's one of my favorite times of year, and so we get the pleasure and the opportunity to be joined by many guests, including members of Fresno State football. I remember last year we had a lot of the guys come through, and so it is the return, I would say, of what will try to be a weekly segment here with showcasing some of the top talent on this Fresno State side. But no better guy to kick things off than right across from me here, Camryn Bracha in studio. Camryn, how we doing on this Wednesday? How you holding up?
Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here. This was just kind of a dream of mine to be on the radio here locally playing for the Dogs. So just get to represent the Dogs, my family, my teammates. What more could you ask for? What
more could you ask for sure? And, of course, you got the local ties. You're the guy who really grinded it to this roster. And we got a lot, obviously to probably talk about with your journey. But it's interesting to hear you say this has kind of been a dream of mine to be on the radio, to talk about the Dogs, to talk about your season coming up and be able to say you're a member of this team. How long have you been dreaming about that as a kid?
I mean, I can't really imagine. Every kid's dream is just to be on the radio, And so when I even got to tell my parents like this week or some of my loved ones, they were like, "What, the radio?" And so it's just so cool how big just being on the radio is, but just being able to play for the Dogs, how I just get this opportunity just to share who I am, my faith, my upbringing, and just get to hopefully inspire the people around me who are kind of on a similar track, especially being from here is just super cool that I just get to share about my story.
Absolutely, man, and it's been quite the journey for you. So, obviously you grew up here locally, Clovis area. You go to Buchanan, right? And superb athlete at Buchanan, but of course it's not the direct path to Fresno State. But take me back, when you first kind of fell in love with football, right? Because I got to imagine everyone has a moment where you're like, all right, yeah, this is going to stick for me. So what was that moment for you?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was the oldest brother, and, I was always, me and my siblings were all in a very competitive house, roughing up on each other, always having fun. And so my parents just gave it an idea. Hey, let's throw you in football. And we started flag football when I lived right outside Indianapolis. And so that was pretty cool to start to see. Peyton Manning was in his prime over there. And he turned into one of my heroes in my early football career, obviously, everything they were doing. But then we started tackle football up in Roseville when we moved back out here to California. And the first year I was probably 60 pounds in third grade playing right tackle. And wasn't probably the spot for me, but I was gritty enough to make it happen. And all I was looking for on every play was to do what the coach asked me. And I looked to the sideline, and I'd either get a thumbs up from my dad or maybe a thumb sideways or thumbs down. And I knew I was doing a good job if I did. And so, me and my dad got to spend a lot of time when I was younger, driving to those games early mornings. Practice, he would always stay around. And, man, just those little moments when we would get frozen yogurt on the way home or just getting to spend time with him. And then my brother getting into it, it was just something we connected on a lot and something I've cherished forever.
Absolutely. So, of course, moving around and stuff like that, sometimes that could be difficult on some kids, just trying to readjust and whatnot. But when you got here into the Fresno Central Valley, some people very much, they get used to the idea of how the valley kind of is and the way the valley goes. And when did you start realizing the way the valley protects itself per se, when you got to Buchanan, you're like, all right, this is how the valley acts when it comes to this?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that knows it to the best, it's definitely my mom. I mean, we're sitting in this studio, and I look across the street, and it's the high school she grew up at Bullard. Mm-hmm. And so she's a Bulldog through and through. Her grittiness, she was a cheerleader for the Dogs, grew up here, man, and she is one competitive lady. And so being able to have my parents lead me, Coach Giordano, during those early years as I was growing into a man in high school was huge for me.
Yeah.
Coach Gutierrez was another guy who played in the NFL, Coach Vogt. And I mean, that Buchanan staff and all my buddies, man, they just shaped me into who I needed to be to kind of get ready for all the pressures. Because there were some times where it could be a lot on a young kid playing at such a great program under such a great staff. But growing up at a competitive house, my siblings, just us always getting after it. I mean, this was what we were grown up to do, you know. And so we just loved it, man.
Yeah. What's your proudest achievement from your Buchanan days? Do you think about a game you had, or do you think about some sort of award you got, or what's your proudest achievement in your mind?
I mean, so our Valley Championship game my junior year was an awesome time. I had been hurt all year and ended up starting to get some play into the playoffs of that year, and we were playing obviously a phenomenal Central team that was stacked year in and year out. You're talking about Ricky Correa, you got Jeremiah Hunter, you got Xavier Worthy, like guys just across the board. And so I got an opportunity to kind of go out there after I hadn't had the best summer. You know, I was bouncing in and out with the job, had got the job, lost the job, people were moved over me in the job. So it was a really discouraging year that was kind of like really tough on me, especially, you know, being so surrounded with football at the time. I didn't have too much balance, you know. And so to come through that year and be able to come into that game and have a huge role, me and my right-hand man, Hayden Peterson, dude, we both went for like 20 tackles apiece.
Wow.
And he was obviously a stud. I mean, one of the best players I've played with. But my adversity that I faced that year, to be able to go back out there, play with confidence. We came up short, so that was disappointing. But, man, to just have that game and just have everything that kind of had led up to that gave me a lot of confidence.
Certainly, confidence is key, especially for a kid who's, you know, when you're getting through it, right? You're sitting there and you're wanting to know what your kind of future looks like, right? Especially, I know how that all comes up. You're like junior year, your parents are like, all right, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with this, right?
Right.
When you started thinking, I think I want to try to pursue football at this point, you know, the recruiting side of things and maybe seeing what you can do on the next level. What was that like? What was that grind like? And obviously you settled in at City, but tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, it was a lot of question marks, especially going into COVID. In that last season we had with only 5 games, you know, you kind of don't get the full senior experience that you want, especially this season. And I just didn't have that much film. My name was in the area because I played some good football, but I wasn't physically depart. Some would say I'm still not, but we're making it happen. But I wasn't sure if I was prepared for that next level of football. And either stepping out of high school. And so some of my buddies, let's give the Rams a try. Coach Gio had obviously gone to Fresno City. And just to be able to continue to play with some of my buddies was kind of just something I was looking for in that kind of next step of life. And just being able to stay home for a few more years. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so JUCO journey, right? And you know, you hear things like all conference and all state, and JUCO all state in California. That's got to be something, right?
Tough,
because
yeah.
that's a lot of people to beat out for that. But you know what? You know, when did you realize you knew you were like that kind of capable of a player to be a guy who'd be recognized at the state level, on the JUCO level? When did you realize I got a knack for this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going into JUCO, you think it's a lot sweeter and easier than it really is. Yeah. But there's a lot of talented guys that wind up at those places. A lot of rosters are former D1 guys. And, you know, my ride with JUCO was tough. I battled a few injuries my first year, was just going up and down again. Wasn't too sure if I wanted to keep playing. But towards the back half of that year, I started to actually find myself some really good playing time. We were playing a great team in San Mateo, who has a great squad year in and year out. And I ended up tallying up like 9 tackles. And the guys around me, the older guys, I was only a freshman, started to instill some confidence in me.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just took it off from there. I started playing really good ball my freshman year. And then my sophomore year, this is like the make or break year. And I ended up putting on like 20 pounds throughout that off season. And I was like, I going into that offseason, I was like, listen, like I was like, Lord, I don't even know if this is for me, you know, like, I don't know if like I want to keep playing football. You know, this is a commitment in junior college, you know.
What was the hardest part about that with the commitment? Like just life and like.
Yeah, like for sure life on like, okay, like Cam, you're playing football, but when are you going to get your life started? Along with, can I really make something happen out of this? You know, is it fulfilling me? And when I look back, am I going to, like, little did I know I was going to be playing for the Dogs, you know. But, you know, what's the next step?
Yeah.
And so to put on all that weight and start to make some plays in practice, I was like, all right, man, like, here we go. You know, I'm destined to have a good year. I just got to stay healthy. Started the first game, had a great game, and just continued to stack. I had another 20 tackle game week 2. And from there, you know, my teammates were just like following my lead. And I was like, here we go. Let's go.
You have such a knack at the position, right? The safety position that you play at. And when did that develop to you? Because people try it. You know, you started as a right tackle in the youngster side of things. But when did you become a safety, and when did you kind of know this was the kind of position you wanted to be in?
So my second year, I started playing that. And really, I was just flying around. Just run around. I was a fast kid and would just run the ball. But obviously, having Coach Giordano and Coach Gutierrez, 2 guys that played at Cal and played in the NFL, I mean, what more could I have asked for, you know, in that moment? And just my biggest thing, one of my biggest attributes I hold myself on is just playing hard. And, I mean, what better spot can you play hard at? First, defense. And secondly, safety, where you could just make so many plays across the field. And I give a lot of recognition to my sister too, who plays soccer at Cal Poly. She's like one of those mid-back, and like that's in another sense almost like a safety for the soccer. And to watch her fly around and me fly around like is pretty awesome to watch, and just to see how the games are so different, but how we can play together. And just the people who have helped me along the way, I think it just shows.
I'm just trying. I'm thinking about inspirations or who you kind of watch for from the safety standpoint. I wonder if he's a little too early for you. Maybe you remember him. I'm thinking of a cult great, Bob Sanders. I don't know if that's kind of the name I think of when it comes to that, or is there a guy you watched back in the day?
I haven't watched him too much, but I mean, Troy Polamalu. Unbelievable. I even watched Giordano's highlights when we were growing up. Eric Weddle's another guy. I mean, Buda Baker's a guy right now who flies to the ball on every play. And this guy's young, but Caleb Downs is all like a peer of mine, but one that is a phenomenal player. But I've watched more recent guys. I love to watch the corners because their athleticism, their technique is just off the charts. And if I can apply that technique to the safety position in part with my tackling, then that can give me some great attributes.
Tell me about the day Fresno State comes on your radar after your season at Fresno State, or whenever it was happening. When did Fresno State contact you?
Yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere, to be honest. You know, Coach Fred over at Fresno City had kind of reached out prior to the year, texted Coach JD, and was like, "Hey, man, like, you should probably keep your eye on this guy." And to hear that too was huge for me because I was like, that's been a dream for me. And like, if this coach believes in me, who has coached Jaden Pearson's guy on our team that Coach Fred coached and got him all over the place coming out of JUCO. So when that kind of hit and gave me the confidence to go in the year, then I had my year. I had a great year, and Coach C kind of just texted Tedford and was like, "Hey, man, I got this line of guys here. Who do you want to see?" And I was like, and Coach C calls me and he's like, "Hey, man, it's Tuesday. We're going over to Fresno State tomorrow, Wednesday morning. You're going to go through the coaching staff. You're going to meet Coach Tedford, everyone." And I was like, all right, here we go. I was like, I wasn't really.
It's not a job interview, but it felt like a job interview.
I know. I was like, okay, well, short notice, but I'll see you at 9 o'clock. I was going to pick him up, and we're going to be right over there. And
but you couldn't sleep the night before,
oh, gosh, no. And I was telling my parents. My parents were excited. Everyone around me was stoked, and it happened fast. And it was like that Wednesday. Then we went through meetings, had a great time, and that weekend I was on their OV visit with some other high schoolers, and it was like, okay, that weekend, now a few weeks coming here in advance, like, is the point on whether you're going to go or not. And so everything was happening pretty fast.
and it's such a whirlwind, right? And then you get the notification that, hey, we want you. We're offering you a spot on the roster, and that's got to be a thrill. So, but of course, nerves still come, right? And you get to first day of practices, right? And was there any guys you connected with, some guys you recognized from the team, or how did you ingratiate yourself in that roster?
Yeah, there was for sure some nerves, especially walking in, being from here, and I was walking on. So you can sometimes get some imposter syndrome, to be honest, with just like, hey, I'm here to play, but I'm here with all these JUCO guys. I'm a walk-on, but my mindset that everyone always instilled with me was, just go out there. And I had a lot of confidence that I could go out there and play. But, Steve Comstock was a guy. Me and Dean came in around the same time, and so that was amazing for, I know me, hopefully him too.
Yeah.
But to get to learn from him, even though he was new, he had so much experience at the place. Kosi, Krishan, Jaden Davis was a young guy, but he really brought me in and just his experience in the program. There was so many guys who just had experience at the program, knowing how that program runs so differently than all the other spots. But then you have guys like, I think like Lavelle, a guy I watched while I was at City, or Malachi, or Johnny Hudson, or Carlton Johnson. Like, these are guys that I, admired while I was at Fresno City. Even Evan Williams, and now to be in the same room as them was like, this is awesome.
Right.
And the way they brought me in, there was never like a moment that like it felt like I had been on that team all year.
Yeah.
And Carlton coming in and just recognizing the hard work I had put in and instilling confidence in me. That spring, he was confident that I was going to play that fall. And I'd be lying if I said this had the same confidence. I felt like I needed a development year. But guys like that who just stepped in and challenged me but also gave me confidence was just monumental, and my development so fast there.
When did you feel like the imposter syndrome went away for you? Or is it always still kind of in the back of your mind a little bit?
Honestly, yeah, it always can kind of hang in there with me, just with my path. Being so different, walking on, and I've always kind of been the underdog guy, but I've always just loved that, and I think that fits so well with playing for Fresno State, man.
Yeah.
Like, you walk into every game feeling like the underdog, and there was even times, like my first year, I played in a great room, a phenomenal room, and even my second year, I played in a phenomenal room, and we just had great guys everywhere, and, me being the guy I am too, like, I want my buddies who I've worked hard with to get their recognition too, And so I was just blessed that Coach Coyle saw that in me in such an early point, and Coach JD and Coach Nelson. But, this new staff has done a great job with just, helping elevate my confidence and what I can really do as a player. And so I'm happy to say that that's about gone for me, but I always love to hang on to that a little bit just to be some motivation for myself.
For sure. Last year, I thought you were off to a blazing start with the defensive side, too.
Yeah.
The best game you ever had, tackle-wise, in the big house.
It was awesome, man.
Right? Take me through that game.
That was, I still get chills thinking about it. Like, that's one I will tell my grandkids about, like, my kids about, my friends about. But my mom's from Columbus.
Okay.
So there's always been some tension with the Wolverines, and so one of my best buddies, his favorite team is Michigan, and so there was a lot of intensity coming into this game. Obviously, you play the reigning national champs, and it's like, what an opportunity. But of course, the nerves come with it, man. Like, especially my thought process, and sometimes having that imposter syndrome. You can have some doubt walking into such a big environment, but I had so much confidence in the work that me and that defensive group had put together all summer. The scheming we did, the sweat, the tears, the blood with Coach Ward, everything that we had sacrificed, I knew it wasn't for just nothing. And just to be able to go out there with guys who I knew would just play fearless, to have my back, as a member of a group, what more could you ask for with a guy just sacrificing everything for you? And so, man, we played some good ball that day.
Yeah.
I had some great opportunities to make some plays, which was awesome. And just to have a moment, I had a moment with one of our strength staff, Coach Robbins, just to be able to be there and just have a moment to just pause and kind of reflect that we were really in the big house playing the reigning champs. And we took them wire to wire, man.
You were there in the fourth quarter, man.
We were there.
Yeah.
And to have them that close, it's disappointing how the game slipped away. But to play how we did, you just have a lot of pride leaving that stadium, and to do it in front of your family, man, that was awesome.
Of course, you have the season-ending injury against New Mexico, and I know that was probably tough for you to know that the season had to wrap up for you. Yeah. But to know you had probably the solace of saying, all right, there's another opportunity the following year for that. But how difficult was that in the moment? And then how quickly did you kind of move on and be a guy who can just be vocal to the guys that were on the sideline there?
Yeah, that was heartbreaking for me, man. It could just be taken away from you so fast. I knew once I went down with the injury that it was probably broken. But I know everything happens for a reason. The Lord has ordained everything since the beginning of time. And so I just continued to repeat verses in my head as I was walking off that field, honestly sobbing over the verses more than the injury, just knowing kind of where my path was trajectorying and how awesome this was going to be of a comeback story. But that was really tough to know all the work, like I talked about, that we put in that season with the seniors. And as a senior, you take so much pride in that. The relationships I had with Dean, CV, Cam Lockridge, Malachi, like the list goes on, and everything we did as a senior group, all you want to do is succeed with those guys for all that you've done to build up to this. And so I tell you what, that senior night, man, I sobbed like a baby in that last meeting room. Just seeing every guy really come down the ramp for a last time was very emotional for me because I had such a love for the group, and I was just so grateful to be a part of it. And to not be able to finish it, you feel like you let them down in a lot of spots. And so that was hard for me, but the coaches kept me involved, man, allowing me to travel every week, just be a voice to the guys was huge because those guys were my family, and just to be able to go through every week with them was awesome, but it was tough.
But now you've got some motivation, obviously, into this thing, and obviously you got JD back, which is great, and new coaching staff. What has stood out to you most about Coach Entz's style as a coach and the way you've interacted with him so far in the spring?
Yeah, having JD back was huge for us, and Coach Entz has done an unbelievable job, man. You have a lot of pride for what you did last year, and even though we have a lot of joy in what we did, we went 6-7 or something, and so it just wasn't good enough. And so the hardest part is, all right, now you got a new guy coming in who, in your mind, you think wants to flip everything upside down. But me and Coach Entz's first meeting, he's like, listen, man, I think you guys do a good job here. We just need to build upon it. And so to take what I had so much courage in and him to understand that and now want to build upon was huge for me as a leader and with the players. And so his transition's been unbelievable. It's almost felt too smooth, and he's done a great job. We've got a lot of new faces, but it feels like this team, with how Coach Benedetto leads the defense and his family kind of atmosphere, how he leads his household as a father and a husband, really molds to our group, and how we just have so much contagious energy and playing with so much joy for one another.
I felt that in the spring game.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. And to have the connections even across the ball this year maybe was something that we didn't have as much last year. And so now to have this full camaraderie that makes Bulldog football as special as it is, man. This is not a team of individuals. It's a full team effort. And so for him to bring his culture along with Fresno State, because it has its own unique culture, and we're all kind of continuing to learn that as a new group, but to bring the two together, I'm excited, man. It's going to be awesome.
August 23rd can't come soon enough,
Not
right?
at all.
That's exciting. At least you don't have to wait as long for the first game. Last question for you before we get going. How exciting. We found out you get another opportunity on national TV again, on Fox this time against Kansas. They're opening up their new house. You want to ruin the party, right?
Yeah.
How does it feel that's just a little over 2 months away?
I know. It's exciting, man, to know that we just get that opportunity. Week 0, all eyes are on the Dogs.
Yeah.
Everyone across the country, as we're and it's going to be a great opportunity for us to send a message early on what we built as a football team, but what we built as a family, and how we're ready to represent just the pride and tradition of what football is at Fresno State, along with, my past teammates that I got to share the field with last year and the coaches to go on to kind of recognize them. I'm excited to take that step in honoring them.
Absolutely. We cannot wait. I have a lot of high hopes for this team, and I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be capable of this season. So
it's going to be great, man. Coach Ent's done a great job, and I'm excited to see everyone in that stadium again. It's been too long, man.
Right.
Got cut short for me. So
yeah,
I'm fired up to have this opportunity, and man, what a blessing it is just to be here in my hometown in front of my family.
Ready to run down that ramp August 30th against Georgia
up.
Southern. I'll be fired up. Camryn, I appreciate you taking the time as always. Good luck on the summer workouts.
Yes,
I know it should be a lot of fun, and we can't wait to see it in August.
It's going to be great. Go Dogs, baby.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back with more Behind the Bench right after this on 1430 ESPN.
Get your day started with Rich Eisen.
Derek Carr retires from the National Football League and goes home to his family, and I'm assuming that will be it. Although, I don't know. You never know in these days anymore. I know there's a $10 million bag that he's going to put in his account that the Saints will basically, like a chess move, keep their finger on that piece. But crazier things have happened in the NFL. I have no idea if he's going to sit out a year and then come back, because somebody's going to give him a call when they're going to get desperate.
Rich Eisen, brought to you by Citizens Business Bank.
Get your business noticed and stand out from the crowd by visiting MegaPrints. Working with the Valley's most prestigious and high-profile businesses since 1998, we print and install custom-designed signs for businesses of all types and sizes. From yard signs to banners to wallpaper and fleet graphics, MegaPrints has the state-of-the-art capability to turn the signage you've dreamed of into a reality. Visit megaprints.com today to see our work and what we can do for your business.
Craving something different? Lynn's Restaurant Group has a variety of spots to satisfy every craving. If you're in the mood for teppanyaki and sushi, Hino Oishi offers an unforgettable Japanese experience. For bold, flavorful Chinese dishes, Spicy J's has exactly what you're looking for. Enjoy a hot pot experience at J-Pot and top it off with boba from JT Inside. Whether dining in or ordering out, every meal is memorable. Visit lynsrestaurantgroup.com to learn more.
For nearly 20 years, Donald P. Dick has been the Valley's go-to expert for solar design and installation. And with their unique price match guarantee, they don't just match the competition, they beat it and give you the difference in cash. Install solar today and start saving money, including the 30% federal tax credits and the various incentive programs that are available when you switch to solar. For a no-obligation quote, call 255-1644 and put Donald P. Dick to the test.
The wait is over. Valley Pure presents Crazy Horse, the wild new flower from Cowgirl Cannabis. This isn't just a strain, it's an experience. Ready to get on the wild side? Then saddle up and ride with Crazy Horse. Available now only at Valley Pure. Bold, untamed, unforgettable. Don't just hear about it, live it. Get to one of Valley Pure's 5 locations and grab your Crazy Horse today. Cowgirl Cannabis, blaze the trail.
Hi, I'm Jim Schaefer with Helena Agri-Enterprises. When it comes to water management, it pays to be sustainable. Resgenics is a water use management tool designed to increase irrigation intervals across a variety of soil types. The easy-to-use polyacrylamide is designed to both increase water retention and infiltration in a convenient liquid formulation that can be applied through irrigation, water, or conventional spray applications with ease. Improve water efficiency and manage every drop with Resgenics. To get more information on Resgenics, contact your local Helena representative or authorized dealer. Always read and follow the label instructions and check registration status before use.
At Citizens Business Bank, we've been taking a personal approach to banking for over 40 years and are consistently recognized as one of the top performing banks in the nation. Hi, I'm Susan Woosner, Senior Vice President and Manager of Citizens Business Bank in Fresno. We believe in the importance of building long-lasting and genuine relationships with our customers. We want to provide you with the solutions you need to grow your business because your success is our success. Citizens Business Bank, member FDIC.
Roger Dunn has the new Callaway Paradigm AI smoke drivers to take your game to the next level. State-of-the-art technology. They've created the most advanced driver face in the history of Callaway Golf. The AI Smart Face is designed to create a sweet spot, and not just the center, but all over the face. AI smoke drivers, fairway irons, and putters. The AI smoke driver, it's sweeter from every spot. Paradigm AI Smoke Drivers. Remember, you're always number one at Roger.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader. Big thanks to Camryn Bracha for joining me in studio. We're going to continue to try to push for some of those Fresno State football interviews throughout the summer. Some great stuff out of there. I thought I always kind of like digging into a lot of the earlier stuff, the stuff before you knew he was a Fresno State Bulldog, all that kind of stuff. I didn't know he was from Indiana. I didn't know he he was born and raised over there. Then came into California a little bit later. But I laugh. Right tackle. See, I'm telling you, football coaches who coach at the elementary level, bless them, because they don't know what they have no idea. They're trying to figure out like what body types need to go where. All of it's just like little kids, right? And I hear all kinds of crazy stories about like future linemen playing wide receiver or tight end in some form or fashion, or all that kind of fun stuff. So crazy to see as that all unfolds. But big thanks to Camryn Bracha for joining me. If you missed the interview, we are streaming live, of course. And if you missed the interview and want to pay attention to it later, or let's watch it back later, we're going to have it, I believe, up on YouTube as well. But also you can listen back on the 1430 app or the 1430 ESPNFresno.com website. I don't know if I have enough time to talk baseball here. I want maybe I shift it back to the Giants here for another time, because we only have a minute or two here. Can we see if we can get a mic on Julia real quick? Because I want to know Women's College World Series that's getting going today, right? We previewed it just a little bit. Texas versus Texas Tech, right? So that's coming up in about an hour. Is it really just coming down to the pitching between these two teams? I'm just curious about this, because we know what Texas Tech has done with their pitching. I think is it Kennedy who's not. She's the only one who's pitched for Texas Tech the entirety of the World Series, right? Am I?
Yep. She's the only one that's pitched, but a lot of teams do that. And I feel like a lot of people say, oh, it comes down to pitching, which definitely it does, but you also have to hit at the end of the day.
That's true.
So, I mean, I think it's going to come down to pitching, but also it's going to come down to who can hit off these incredible pitchers going against each other.
For sure. I know that today is the day it starts. I think it starts at 5 o'clock. I think that's where I got it. 5 o'clock each day, today, tomorrow, and then if necessary, Friday. I don't know how many times we've gone to that if necessary game in the last few years, but
I feel like we've gone to it quite a few times, actually.
Yeah. Canada's, I got a stat for you. Canada's 5 consecutive complete game victories and 5 straight team games since the start of the Super Regional is the longest streak by any player since the start of her college career in 2023, when she also did that. So it's pretty crazy stuff that she's doing that there. Pseudo like Caitlin Clark, in a way, just for the softball side of things, that magnitude of just high impact kind of player.
100%.
So we'll see how it all plays out. That starts in an hour. We got to dip out here at the end of the hour here. So we'll take a break. And when we come back, I'll do a little Stanley Cup preview, talking about Panthers-Oilers, where I'm feeling this series is going to go. As that's going to get going, we'll have hour number 2 coming up next on 1430 ESPN.
Hello, sports fans and fans of high school sports. I'm Paul Metters of the Central Valley Sports Report. Excited for our 4th season covering high school sports from Bakersfield to Kingsburg to Hanford to Fresno and Clovis. Talk with coaches, players about all the good stuff in local high school sports. We'll recap games, preview upcoming ones, and provide in-depth analysis. All the great things you've come to love about the show.
Listen to the Central Valley Sports Report with Paul Metters, live from First String Sports on your Valley's local sports leader, 1430 ESPN.
Are cracked screens or dying batteries slowing you down? Don't fret. Visit Cellfix today for fast and reliable phone repairs. Our certified technicians specialize in fixing all major brands, ensuring your device is back in your hands in no time. Plus, enjoy peace of mind with our warranty on all repairs. Visit us at our convenient location at 6551 North Blackstone or call 559-765-8044 to schedule an appointment. Cellfix, your trusted partner in phone repairs. Get back to what matters. Stay connected with Cellfix.
Fresno's flooded with junk removal companies. Most are slow, sloppy, or overpriced. Here's the difference. Everyday Junk Removal shows up, hauls fast, and gets out. Furniture, gone. Mattresses, gone. Construction debris, yep, gone. Dumpster rental, handled. Rated 5 stars on Google because they don't screw around. Right now, get $20 off a half load or more. Get your quote at everydayjunkremoval.com or give them a call at 408-9132. Everyday Junk Removal. Get through the clutter.
Mike Dermanuel Jr. of Hub International Insurance Group.
That's the kind of relationship we have with our clients. They want to know what's going to happen if they make certain business moves, and we're right there to give them our thoughts and our ideas and our advice.
Hub International. Learn more at hubinternational.com. License number 0757776.
If our clients succeed, we succeed. And I think that's what we work on every day.
Are you a business owner struggling to understand how cloud technology can help your business? Are you in need of computer and technology support for your employees? M-Cubed Technologies is your solution for fully managed IT services. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. M-Cubed will be your partner in the digital world, allowing your business to carry on worry-free. We specialize in cloud hosting, Microsoft 365 management, general IT support, and VoIP phone services. Call M-Cubed Technologies today to discuss our partnerships.
Sports fans of the Central Valley, are you ready to step up your game day grilling? Step into the Butcher Boss and discover winning flavors the champions crave. Ask about their 5 for $35 deal, where you can feed up to 5 people for $35 every day. Located right off the 41 north of Avenue 11, stop by the Butcher Boss today and become the boss of your barbecue.
The DQ Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Baskets have more flavor than your taste buds know what to do with. We start with all white meat, breaded, seasoned, and fried to crunchy perfection. Next, we double down and toss them in honey barbecue or new buffalo sauce. Serve them up with DQ fries, Texas toast, and house-made Hidden Valley Ranch, and you've got flavor on flavor on flavor. Get the Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Basket in honey barbecue or new buffalo right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
Your home for high school sports. 1430 ESPN, the Valley's local sports leader. KFIG Fresno.
It's at the Dome to take it down. Connor McDavid has another shot, and it's now or never time for him. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca, closing in on Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. The Panthers and Oilers, two familiar foes, setting up the fifth finals rematch in the NHL's expansion era since 1968, and the first since the Pens and the Wings in 2009. Panthers making their third straight trip to the final and looking to repeat. Lead all playoff teams in goals per game and power play percentage this postseason. Also have to deal with the best player in the sport in Connor McDavid on the other side. Three-time Stanley Cup champ Pat Maroon on the Panthers' plan in the series.
You have your matchups with your D pairing, the top 2 D that are going against them, and then the top 3 forwards that are going to match up against them too. So they just try to do a good job of limiting time and space, being hard on them, physicality on them. Try not to get that space where you can create his offense on his own. So I think it's all time and space limited.
Maroon on the Pat McAfee Show. Oilers have struggled in Game 1s, 4-12 since Connor McDavid made his playoff debut, second worst in the NHL over that span. Puck drop coming up at 8 Eastern. In baseball, the Rockies win their third straight. They call that a winning streak. Colorado sweeping the Marlins with a 3-2 win this afternoon. Hunter Goodman tripled and doubled to cap a big weekend. Rockies improved to 12-50 this season with their first series sweep since May of last year. Kyle Freeland allowed 2 unearned runs in 6 1/3, his first win since September.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Thursday, we continue to react to the fallout of the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau, and we wonder who are legitimate contenders for the job. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
He's got the knowledge.
Because once again, I have to come on there and talk about how right I am once again. In anything that it comes to sports.
He's got the questions.
I'm going to lose it. Are you kidding me? What are we doing here?
He's got the guest.
20th head coach in Fresno State history here, Matt. Is it hard to believe sometimes still, the 20th head coach here in program history?
It's all moved really quickly here over the course of the last 5-6 weeks, but super excited to be here.
Phil Benotti is the voice for the Central Valley sports leader. Behind the Bench starts now. Brought to you by Helena Agri.
That's right. Behind the Bench here. It's hour number 2 of our show. Hope everyone is enjoying themselves here. As I'm sure you're wrapping up your final hour of work, I would say. I think that's good for the most of those who are the 9-to-5ers. So hopefully we're getting you through it. Jack, some more coming up in about 15 minutes or so to join our show. We got Jorge over behind the glass. Jorge, we never gave people the final results of that poll we ran yesterday. What was the best time zone to watch sports in United States of America? And I will preface this. I do understand that we may have tainted results here, but I will ask the question regardless because the polls have spoken, and the polls have come up with a result. Do we have that result in front of us here, Jorge?
Yeah. So we have the Eastern time, and there's still 16 minutes left on the poll. So if you want to go ahead and vote, you can.
Yeah.
So Eastern time, there's
this is on X, by the way.
2%.
The poll's on X.
Of the people voted that it was the best time to watch sports. Central time got 3%. Mountain time, 65%. And Pacific time zone got 30%. Feel like someone from the Mountain Time saw this and decided to repost it.
We apparently got reposted by some Boise radio host somewhere up there, and
which is cool.
Totally hijacked the post. Now, we'll say Mountain Time Zone's not horrible. I've watched sports out of the Mountain Time Zone, but there is only one correct answer in my mind. A Central Time Zone. If you're not understanding what Central Time Zone can offer for you, then I don't know what to tell you.
I lived in Texas for a while, so I know what Texas, what Central Time Zone does. I love me the West Coast.
Yeah.
But definitely, Central Time Zone it's a little bit different.
Central's great because here's what you got. When you want to watch like a big NBA Finals game or an NHL Stanley Cup game or something like that, you can do it while coming off of work. Like today's NHL Stanley Cup Final in the Central Time Zone starts at 7 p.m. That's an awesome time. That's like a perfect time. 7 to 10 feels like prime. I want to do something. I want to go watch a game. I want to go hang out. I'm not going to be tired afterwards when I do it, right? Same with like an NBA Finals game. How about this for you? The full slate of NFL football starts at noon. How about that? You get to do whatever you need to do. You get to take care of all your chores. You get to run all your errands. You wake up at 8 in the morning. You go do all your things you need to do. Everything's open like that. Go pick up some lunch. You get ready. You go have the games. Settle in. 12 o'clock. You're locked in on Red Zone or whatever you're watching. And watching your football all the way to about 8 o'clock. Or no, 7 o'clock or so. When things wrap up and the Red Zone witching hour finalizes in the mid to late afternoon side of things. And then how about 7:15 Sunday night football or whatever it is, wrapping up at around 11 o'clock? I could not complain about the Central Time Zone in my mind. People who voted on this poll, they're sleeping on the Central Time Zone, let me tell you.
I do like it, but I also feel like the Pacific time zone is just like you could, get up early and watch the game, so you could, the late games you don't have to be up that late.
I understand,
which is good.
I understand that, but I share the sentiment of I want to go hang out with my friends and watch tonight's Stanley Cup Finals game, but it starts at 5.
Am I drinking a beer at 10 a.m. in the morning for a football game?
Depends.
Yes, yes, I am.
Depends on the day, and 7 a.m. if it's in London, right? So,
am I drinking a beer at 4 a.m. to watch a soccer game?
You bet.
Don't judge me.
Yeah, hey, Jorge, watch your sports however you want to watch your sports, right? No, that's all I argue is I want to get together and watch a game with somebody, but then sometimes 4 p.m. is when it starts, and I'm like, we're all still working. We're going to miss half the game, if not all the game. Like in the NBA playoffs, I wanted to watch like Warriors games with people or whatnot, and if I got forced to watch it at freaking 4 p.m., I'm like, well, I can't hang with the boys and go watch a game. That's just not how it works for me. But
I mean, you did watch it here, so
yeah, I'm working, right? But I'd rather be drinking and watching and eating. I love talking to the mic, let me tell you, and I love updating people. And of course, I got to get the game on here. It's still I got to figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. But I just wanted to point that out. That I think a collective 95% of the people on that poll are wrong. So that's what I wanted to say.
I was not expecting the Mountain Time to come out like that. But,
Mountain Time's good. I've watched the Super Bowl in the Mountain Time. Yeah. Mountain Time's pretty legit. But it's 11 a.m. I like 12 p.m. I like 12 p.m. on my football Sundays as opposed to 11 a.m. 11 a.m. feels a little too early for me still. 12 p.m. feels like I can do whatever I want. So it's as simple as that. College football, Central Time Zone, I feel like I'm going to watch every game, except for maybe Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii would be out there.
The Hawaii test is tough.
Finish your Fresno State games at like midnight and stuff like that.
Yeah, as opposed to 3 a.m. like I did last year watching us play Nevada. Okay, Stanley Cup Finals. I just want to go a few minutes on this and let people understand what's going on here with the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a rematch between the Panthers and the Oilers coming up, and that's a game that's starting in less than an hour. And it is the 5th time we've had a rematch since 1968 in the Stanley Cup in this final. First time since we've had it since Red Wings and Penguins back in 2008, 2009. You want to hear some interesting parallels to this Stanley Cup final from years past?
Why not?
The last 2 instances of a Stanley Cup rematch, and it might hold true this year, featured, how about a generational player getting their first Stanley Cup the year after losing the final. Example, Wayne Gretzky back in 1983 lost to the New York Islanders in the Stanley Cup. Islanders ended up winning their 4th straight Stanley Cup title. The next year, in 1984, Wayne Gretzky ended up winning his first Stanley Cup for the Oilers, who ended up winning titles in 84, 85, 87, 88, 1990. Wayne Gretzky, best player of all time. Right? So,
okay, yeah.
Move forward to 2008. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins losing to the Detroit Red Wings in 2008, who then won their 4th Stanley Cup in 11 seasons. The following year, the Penguins bounced back, won the Stanley Cup in 2009, started a run for the Penguins and Sidney Crosby to win 3 titles in 9 seasons, including the consecutive titles in 16 and 17. Of course, Sharks fans who are listening know of one of those finals. But Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, 2 legitimate all-time generational players, right?
Definitely Hall of Famers, yes.
And now we sit here with Connor McDavid, the generational player for the Edmonton Oilers, who lost in heartbreaking fashion in 7 games to the Florida Panthers, seeking his first Stanley Cup final. I'm curious if storylines can play a factor like that into this one. I find interest in the parallel of that storyline. I think that's a fascinating thing. And, Jorge, am I making too much of this connection, or do you feel like it's all circumstantial?
I mean, I always feel like it's circumstantial, but I mean, it's always. I like having those kind of statistics because you get to root for something.
Mm-hmm.
You get to wish something good on someone.
Yeah.
So I feel good about it.
Also, if McDavid and the Oilers are able to pull it off and win a Stanley Cup final, They are winning a Stanley Cup championship for the first time since I believe I was born, which is a long time ago. Hold on. Let me not say that. That's a little. When did Jurassic Park come out? 1993?
Yes.
That is the last time a Canadian team has won a Stanley Cup, 1993. Jorge, do you remember where you were in 1993? Do you remember 1993?
I kind of do, yeah. It was a year before the 94 World Cup. And, I was in Mexico. I remember a few things that happened that year, but I remember it.
Yeah. So, been a while. I think we are potentially seeing some history here with this. Keep in mind, this is also the furthest apart two teams mile-wise are. I think Tony likes to point that out as far as the flights are concerned. About 2,541 miles between Miami or wherever the Panthers play in Florida to Edmonton, which is as high as you can get up and as north as you can get up in their part of Canada on the Midwestern side. So excited to see what travel can do between these two teams. I think the teams are going to be a little more equipped for this travel opportunity, to say the least. So we'll see how it all plays out. All right, if you want to go statistic route, if you want to go what this series is about for these Panthers and Oilers, here's what you need to know. It is the best defense in the NHL in the Florida Panthers taking on the best offense in the NHL in the Edmonton Oilers. I'll explain. Panthers, first in goals against on their defense. First in expected goals against on defense. Second in scoring chances, opportunities in the NHL or in the postseason. And second in slot shots as well, defended in the postseason. Oilers are first in goals scored, first in expected goals scored, second in scoring chances, and second in slot shots. So exactly mirrored against each other here is the best offense in the postseason versus the best defense in the postseason. What always wins in postseason do we see? Usually it's the defense, right? Usually it's the defense that pays out. And we saw the Panthers do what they did in the previous postseason to end up winning a Stanley Cup final. It's going to be a dictation of pace between these two teams. Here's another statistic for you, though, because these teams are very deep. It's not all Connor McDavid and doing what he's doing on the Oilers. Oilers and Panthers each have 19 goal scorers in this postseason. That makes them the 13th and 14th team in playoff history to have that many players score in one postseason. The 4th and 5th team to do in the century, including the 17 Nashville Predators, who lost a final, and both the 19 Bruins and Blues, who played in the finals, where St. Louis beat my Boston Bruins in frustratingly fashion. So that's what's staring at these two teams as well. So depth is there. Panthers play a style that is going to be unrelenting on the defensive end. But what's fascinating is there's a lot of through lines between both of these teams going in. I just feel like I'm curious to see who blinks first in game one. I think this is going to be a Stanley Cup that a lot of people are going to really look at and say, this is the best opportunity we have to watch some really great hockey. I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. What is my prediction? I think I'm going with history, with how history has repeated itself with Wayne Gretzky, with Sidney Crosby. I firmly believe the Oilers can get it done in a 7-game fashion. This one will go 7. I have the Oilers winning the Cup and sending the Cup back to Canada for the first time in a long time. I don't know if you want to make predictions, Jorge, or you want to just blindly make a prediction. I know you're pulling out there. And Julia, you're welcoming a prediction as well if we all want to make predictions here. Oilers or Panthers or just on vibes. If you know, what we want to do. Do you guys have a couple predictions for you?
I would go for the Panthers. I say make it two in a row.
You got Panthers, all right.
I'm not gonna bet you anything on this because
we're still litigating that in court.
We're still in court for the other one, but yeah, I feel like they might have something.
Panthers and what
out there? Let's go 6.
6 Panthers and 6. They win it on their own
6.
ice. Julia, anything for you? Do you have any feel or any prediction in this Stanley Cup final?
I'm going to be honest. I don't really watch hockey,
That's
so
fine.
I'm going to blindly make a prediction,
There you
and
go.
I'm going to pray that I'm right.
Go with the Oilers in 7.
Go with your gut.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Oilers in 7.
Oilers in 7? All right, so you're making the same prediction I am.
Yes.
All right. Julia's got Oilers in 7.
I trust you.
I'm going to that is very dangerous for you to do. Although Phil Stradamus has struck a couple times already this year, so
if you say so, yeah.
He's warming up still. We got to keep it rolling here. I got to ask what the office picks are so we can get that all right there. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're calling Jackson Moore, de facto co-host Jackson Moore, coming on the show here. Talk some Fresno State as well. Stay with us. We're listening to 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader.
Is here.
Chapman, it's a drive out to left center field. At the wall, it is gone!
Your home for Giants baseball lives on 1430 ESPN Fresno.
Double play! And the inning is over.
Catch all the action home and away on the Central Valley sports leader. Giants baseball, brought to you by Clovis Truck Center, Fashion Furniture, M Cubed Technologies, Lee's Air, and Clausen Automotive.
Prices on steel and materials are going up, but at Pacific Steel Supply, they're still delivering the best deals in the industry. Whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, or ag projects, Pacific Steel Supply will match or beat any competitor's price by an extra 10% on top quality steel, metal roofing, and components. With 24/7 service, fast delivery, and the best prices, the time to act is now. Get your free quote today from Pacific Steel Supply in Fresno, Ashland, and Parkway off Highway 99 or online at pacificsteelsupply.com.
No matter the time, morning, noon, or night, Black Bear Diner in Fresno has you covered. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner served all day just the way you like it. At Black Bear Diner in Fresno, you can count on them serving up hearty portions that satisfy even the hungriest appetites. Plus, the little Cubs can enjoy their brand new Cubs Corner too. So gather your family and friends, bring your appetite, and make it a meal to remember at Black Bear Diner in Fresno, corner of Sean Martin. Black Bear Diner.
It's crunch time, and KFC's got the winning play. Right now, grab a 10-piece bucket of the Colonel's hot, crispy fried chicken, thighs, and drumsticks for just $15.99. And if you're planning on feeding the whole team, make it a meal with sides and biscuits for just $10 more. That's big-time flavor without blowing the budget. So, whether you're watching the big game or feeding your starting lineup, this bucket brings home the W. No errors, no drops, just finger-looking good chicken from KFC, where every bite is a game changer.
Hey Fresno, Chris Swart out here, operating partner Jack's Car Wash Companies, located on the southwest corner of Cedar and Shepherd. Don't miss out on this winning combo.
That's right, Jack's Car Wash has a brand new Pepsi and Coke soda fountain, plus a new Keurig coffee station featuring your favorite national brands. Plus, Jack's full detailing is backed by popular demand. Schedule yours today by calling 435-7335.
Jack's Car Wash and ESPN Fresno, the double play of a great car wash and a great broadcast. Let's go Giants!
I know how important some of this equipment for the farmers is. Without it, they can't get the job done.
That's Bob Aguirre, service manager at Pioneer Equipment Company.
My philosophy is get the tractor in and get it out as fast as I can. It's not supposed to be in the shop. It's supposed to be out in the field working.
Pioneer provides quality service for Kubota, Land Pride, and Nelson Equipment. Stop by and say hi at our Fresno or Reedley locations, and we'll get your equipment serviced right away.
This is a family-oriented business. It's been great working for Pioneer Equipment.
Visit PioneerEquipmentCA.com.
Take me out to the ball game.
Baseball is back, and it doesn't get any better than the Fieldhouse Sports Bar and Grill, indoors or on the patio. Root for your team while enjoying their famous burgers, dogs, and fries. And did you know they have the coldest beer in town? No, seriously. With 16 draft beers on tap, served in an ice-cold pint, it'll sure get you cool for the summer. The Fieldhouse Sports Bar and Grill. Food, sports, fun. On Copper Avenue at the entrance to the beautiful Copper River Ranch.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader. Of course, we are rolling along here in hour number 2. Pleased to be joined by our next guest, who is on the Lee's Air Hotline. As you may know him earlier in these afternoons, but later now, here we got de facto co-host Jackson Moore here. I guess somewhat de facto co-host here on Behind the Bench as well. Jackson, how we doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Long time no chat for us, but good to catch up with you, of course. It's been a busy spring with all the different movement around there and the football rosters, all that great stuff. Baseball season wrapping up as well. I got a lot of different things to touch with you here on Fresno State side of things. We haven't really chatted about Fresno State in quite a bit, but I wanted to maybe let's put a capper on the baseball season, right? Because I know some people may be disappointed in where the UCLA regional went for them, but how would you assess the way the baseball season went for this Bulldogs squad, a team that has made it back-to-back Mountain West tournament championships?
Yeah, it was a kind of a bumpy season, and they still got it done in the Mountain West tournament, which was a great way to end it and to kind of erase some of the challenges they went through over the course of the year, or maybe overcome's a better phrase, because they probably would have had some excuses not to be there at the end of the day, and they still made it. Didn't quite reach the ceiling of what the team, I think, was capable of if they had stayed completely healthy throughout the year, but came pretty close. And then, again, unfortunately, didn't put up too great of a fight in the Los Angeles Regional. I was hoping to see at least one win after going 0 for 2 last year, but I thought maybe the pitching would be there enough to get a win out of the first 2 days, but it just didn't happen. So, there's still – it's great to see the program on an upward trajectory and in the NCAA tournament discussion, but it does still feel like there's a bit of a ways. So they have a field that's a team that's going to be really competitive and maybe battle for a 3 seed or a 2 seed and have a little more expectation going into those types of things.
Yeah, I always felt kind of like with the way the season went, I looked at some statistics and just kind of figured out where Fresno State could have some pitfalls. I think for the most part, I saw a lot of double plays grounded into in some key situations. I wonder if there's a better approach that the hitters could have came after it with it. But also just in the weekend there, it just seemed like the arms just could not get swing and misses from either of the teams they played. And I know strikeouts is such a key hallmark for this team and the way they went, especially from the starters. It just felt uncharacteristic that so many balls were not missing bats over the weekend.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some chances for them to get out of innings a lot earlier, and the at-bats alone just seemed to drag on. And then the longer those went, and some of them just turning into walks or singles, just keep prolonging things and turning into runs eventually. They just couldn't quite get out of some situations that they normally have, especially the two star starters between Anchor and Cramarosa. So it was unfortunate to see that they weren't able to replicate that in that setting. And there's just too many runs on the board for the offense to keep up with at the end of the day.
Yeah. If this, I imagine, because we're going to say goodbye to some of these Bulldogs here, right? I don't know if I'm assuming Murph Gray may be looking to the next level. I don't know if has there been a formal announcement from Murph, or do we know anything? I'm assuming he's going to be heading to that next level there. But if so, how would you characterize the tenure Murph Gray's had at Fresno State?
That was awesome. I mean, he had huge expectations, and he lived up to them. The last 2 years, he's just been lights out. He's made huge hits, especially being the Mountain West tournament MVP back-to-back. He's the first ever to do that. So definitely leaves a legacy and looks like he's ready to make that leap. I don't believe I've seen a formal announcement either, but all signs point to him being more than ready to make that jump if he decides to, which I'm assuming he's going to. So it was a fun ride, and we had some big moments. And while, again, 2 seasons and a little bit disappointing in the NCAA tournament, it's still a lot farther than this program has gotten in some time.
Certainly, I think he probably wanted to at least to win there in the regional in some form or fashion. But I want to go back to the Mountain West tournament because I found it an interesting structure this year where it was at a neutral site. It was kind of a different feel for it. But also we had the chaos scenario of honestly, if whoever lost that second game of that final, second to last day of that tournament, felt like they pretty much saw their tournament end no matter what happened. I'd imagine the Mountain West is going to reevaluate the structure of that tournament because of the way things played out this season.
Yeah, I would sure like to see that be readjusted because of the neutral site and the expanded field with the play-in games. It was just had to fit in more games in less days, and maybe one more day would have alleviated some of that, but we still would have had a team that would have had a rough run if they went through the play-in round. I think it's pretty tough to expect any of the 2 6 seeds to pull it out. While fair to the first 2 seeds to have that advantage, it's just pretty taxing on the arms. Even a regular double elimination format can get tough on the pitching staff. So curious to see what they do. If you host it, at least it gives you more flexibility to stretch it out another day. And I stayed up for I also cover San Jose State, so I watched 10 more innings of baseball after the Bulldogs wrapped up. And that thing didn't end until about 1:35 in the morning, and it was it was tough to imagine like, putting yourself in the Spartan shoes, having to go to bed and get back to the stadium in about 10 hours and try to play. They looked very flat in that final game, but Diamond Dogs I think would have taken care of business either way.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine playing a game. It just felt like that on arrival, that final day for San Jose State. So enough on baseball, though. I wanted to chat. There were some couple news items that popped through as well. Why don't we go chronologically back more with some of the teams, and let's go to basketball real quick because we have some signings throughout this year, including some French flair to Fresno State. I wonder if I'm saying these names right. I know Wilson Jacques is probably the easier one to say, and then let me see. Can I get Bastien Ribert as far as the other one? Have you practiced your French lately, Jackson?
I have not. I'm going to have to. I think you're probably closer than I've been. So I am very excited about the two. They come in as true freshmen, but they're 20-year-olds. They're basically transfers at their stage. They're much more older and mature and going to look a lot different than some of the high school recruits that Coach Wahlberg is bringing in also. So that's big, especially at center. Wilson Jacques was the MVP of his under-21 league and put up big numbers. And center, it's just been a real challenge to recruit with prices going way up in the portal for those types of players. So got to hope they got a gym there. Probably look for them to add one more. And Ribert also led that league in assists, 8.5 a game. So if he can come in and alleviate some pressure off the point guard position, that'd be huge as well, whether he's a key player or kind of in the rotation off the bench. I think both of these guys are going to be treated a lot more like transfers than developmental freshmen.
I think you said the key point, the 20-year-old aspect of it. And I know a lot of people maybe not realize how different 18-year-old bodies are to 20-year-old bodies, especially 20-year-old bodies that were battling in actually somewhat a professional setting like they were in France. But I like the idea of getting a little older on this roster, at least to have the physicality. Because, Jackson, you know more than I do. We watched all these games last year. The lack of ability to stay strong at the rim was driving me nuts last year for basketball. And I'm sure it drove Vance nuts as well because the Bulldogs couldn't find a way to finish at the rim or get to that point. I would imagine just stronger and older bodies can allow that to be a little bit more improved on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a big key this offseason. Eventually, the players that they added last year, again, if they had all stayed on the court, it might have been a slightly different story than what the record ended up being. There's still going to be a challenge for them to accomplish too much. But I think they realized over the course of the year they needed more experience. They needed older bodies, older brains on the court as well. And that's what the focus has been. You're seeing some additions here. The transfers they've added are basically seniors or super senior guys that have just one season and are going to bring that. And then they'll need to be replaced the year after, but they're going to impact things right away. And then preferably, you didn't want too many freshmen on this roster. And I believe DJ Stickman's the only one that's going to be coming straight out of high school to Fresno State. You've got guys that have been at prep schools. You've got more international recruits who are 19 or 20 years old. And they basically played 2 or 3 years now beyond your typical high school recruit at a semi-professional level. And I mean, it's pretty close to getting a sophomore or junior in the transfer portal that way. And some of them are still pretty valuable. They had to beat out other teams and put some NIL out for them. So it's not exactly the budget route per se, but it's a good mix with the older guys that they have got.
What do you make of Tyler Johnson joining the staff? I know he's got a lot as far as his credibility is concerned, being one of probably the more successful Fresno State basketball players to go to the next level. But also, aside from him just being a guy that has had that success at the next level, I always kind of thought of him as a physical guard, a guy that isn't afraid to stick his nose into some situations, especially inside the paint. I think I saw he averaged over 8 rebounds as a guard. He's not terribly a tall guy out there, but what do you make of what he can bring on the coaching staff as an assistant, especially probably working with the other guards that are on the roster?
I think that kind of the way he got to his success is such a great fit, because when he left Fresno State, there was some hope, but no one imagined he'd ever be signing a $50 million contract in the NBA within a couple of years. He really grinded it out. Even when he was at Fresno State, he went through a coaching change, was part of that first Rodney Terry team that was very undermanned, and by the end of it had gotten to some postseason action and set the table for that eventual NCAA tournament appearance. So, this program is basically starting from the bottom right now, and he's been there and he's achieved and kind of embraces a lot of the same mentality and the drive that you see from what Coach Wahlberg's program is supposed to be, and hopefully having a guy like that around will get that buy-in from the players.
Yeah, absolutely. So much to wait for as far as that's concerned. I mean, we're still so far away from actually seeing any kind of action on that. But let's shift to football, right? Because I think there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of different things that are coming around this program. Of course, we continue to see Coach Entz be very out front and forward with a lot of things, beating a lot of people, being at a lot of events. I'd say he's been a lot of visibility to Coach Entz so far in his start of his tenure. What do you make of the way he's been able to kind of market this team and be able to utilize the Valley? How have you seen him approach it as opposed to maybe what we've seen from Tedford in the past?
I think he's been able to kind of grasp the situation that's here and the pros of the program, that he's able to get out there, and he's also bought into some the things that were already here that maybe wouldn't have been on his agenda, or perhaps been the first things that he would have announced about his program. I know talking to some of the recruits that officially visited over the weekend, pretty much all of them have said how much it was drilled in that the community loves the program, that they fill up the stadium, that it's a different type of environment than other Group of 5 schools. That there was one recruit that came from, he's committed to San Diego State, but he left Fresno State thinking that the city is just really is all out, cares about the Bulldog football compared to probably the buy-in from the San Diego State fans in San Diego who have the Padres to battle with over there. So,
yeah.
You hear that a lot. I know just about every recruit has single-handedly named Matt Ince as the guy that's called them and given them their offers. So he's at the forefront of the recruiting process there. Again, they wrapped up official visits Sunday morning. Then they hosted a camp on Sunday afternoon that he led. And then Monday, he was out at a golf tournament fundraiser here in town, and all of it was in about triple-digit heat. So he's been really running around. I know the first few days for a coach are crazy, but I think now, even in June, when you would imagine things would calm down, it's been just as 24/7 for him as it's been since he got here.
When and clearly we're continuing to see things trickle in for this Bulldogs side. I know you always take a note of where the needs are or where the deficiency are on the roster. How do you think he's effectively tackled that? Clearly it's been such a turnover with the roster since a year ago, but how do you feel like he's been able to handle some of the lack of depth in some certain spots that you probably had concerns for before spring and into spring, and now as we sit here on June 4th?
Absolutely. I think watching the team in the spring, it didn't feel like there were many depth issues, which was fantastic after they had so many players leave. Most of the starting lineup basically either graduated or transferred from last year, and I think fortunately there's some pretty solid second teamers that have been about ready to step up, and then they brought in a big group of transfers and junior college recruits who have been at about the same level at a lot of those spots. So you do wonder exactly if the star power is there in the starting lineup, if they're going to have enough top-end talent. But most positions have been pretty solid 2 or 3 deep. So they do check that box at least. And this is going to be a physical style of play where you might be a little more concerned about guys' wear and tear than necessarily how talented the first guy is at some spot. So that's going to be key. And then they're bringing in this late class of transfers and junior college recruits. They've added to the O-line a little bit more, which, of course, you just want to kind of stockpile as much talent as you can there and hope for the best. They added another cornerback, some receivers, of course, the quarterback, Carson Conklin, coming in to add to the competition. So really the kind of the spots are circled coming out of spring. They've also hit those 2 in the last 2 months.
There's so many people are just like, I need to know, I just need to learn this roster. I think that's going to be the key thing, right? And maybe, I don't know if there's an effective way to, let people know who we got, because I think it's a lot of just unknowns for the what do you call it, the casual fan, the casual Fresno. I don't know if there is a casual Fresno State fan that exists, but you know what I mean? Where that's the hard part, right, is to sell them on the idea that all of these guys are capable of winning football games. It's just a matter of who are they, and maybe there's a way you can kind of market that in a certain ways to help people understand that, yeah, they're bringing in the guys they need.
Yeah, definitely. There's you think about the stars of this team, it seems like a little bit of a short list right now. Obviously, you got Bryson Donaldson, even an lineman that doesn't probably get as much love as he should, but Jacob Stromer's back. That's a huge piece of this team, regardless of how many people know the lineman or not. Camryn Bracha, of course, is a big one. But otherwise, you're going to have a lot of new starters on the field, and it is going to be a bit of a blend of guys that haven't been in the spotlight yet here and brand new faces. And fortunately, I think a lot of them were here in the spring. I tried to interview as many of those guys as I could to help get the word out on them, but it's definitely put this eventual depth chart next to last year's, and it's going to be a totally different looking team.
For sure. What do you make of the TV selection schedules and all that stuff? We got a little bit of a glimpse on when the Bulldogs are playing and what channels they are. Of course, how about national TV again out at Kansas in week 0? So the Bulldogs back-to-back years open on a big major network. How big of a boost is that, do you think, for them to be in the spotlight? And I would say even more of a spotlight with it being week 0 as opposed to the Michigan game. I know a lot of eyes are on the Michigan game, but I don't think anybody has a choice other than watch Kansas Fresno State in week 0 at 3:30.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Fresno State at Kansas and Stanford at Hawaii. I'm going to have to find a way to keep track of both of those games simultaneously on my end, but I'll be there planning on for the Fresno State opener. And I can't tell you how much I heard from recruits about the fight that the Bulldogs put up at Michigan, and even transfers. A lot of the transfers I talked to said, we noticed what happened in that game with Fresno State and Michigan. It was close for a while, so some of the transfers feel like because of that battle that the Bulldogs had, that maybe the team isn't as far off as some people would think after a 6-win season and all the transfers. So there's been some buy-in from that. Kansas is in Michigan, of course, but just being week 0, there's only going to be 4 games on all day, and the other big one's on at 9 in the morning. So Fresno State's going to be basically center stage on Fox. Network television game's always huge, so that's big. And then virtually every game after that's been playing for national television too. We'll have the one-off game against Hawaii that'll be on the Spectrum Sports Network, presumably, and should be streamed or broadcasted here locally, hopefully. And just got to find a way to get that FCS game against Southern on TV. And otherwise, as long as you've got normal cable, you're going to be able to see every Bulldog game, the other 10, all year long. So
yeah,
it's a nice schedule to see. All home games on Saturday. That's always a big one. 3 years in a row now. You're always waiting to see what dreaded home game is going to get moved to Friday, and it hasn't happened again for another year. So as long as they manage the short week at Colorado State that they're going to have, no changes as far as Friday games.
I love how they left it open for Fox opportunities. At least 4 games are open for a Fox opportunity. If I had to be a betting man, I like the odds of the Boise game. If we're humming, I like the ideas of the Boise game at Boise being a Fox national game at like a 4:30 kickoff time. That'd be something special, I would say. Although we'll see. We'll see if it's up to that caliber. Last question for you, Jackson. I'll let you go. We now are entering this final year of the Mountain West. I know there's still a lot of hand-wringing over what is the Pac-12 going to look like. I know we're waiting on another team. I know everybody's just kind of still waiting to see what this conference is finalized and looking like, and have we made the right move or anything like that. How are you feeling about this transition now that we enter the final season of Mountain West sports for Fresno State officially after baseball season wrapped up? How are you feeling going into this final year of Mountain West?
Yeah, I was hoping we'd have a little more answers by now. Hopefully by August, we have the 1 year mark before everything sets in stone, that we'll have some answers as to who the 8th team is and what the TV contract is going to look like and finish that out. But otherwise, it looks like a pretty solid group. Could raise a little bit depending on who the 8th program is, or you might have to kind of sell people on who it is depending on which way they have to go. I think recruiting-wise, you're already seeing players are walking in on the Pac-12 schools over the Mountain West schools. A lot of the Fresno State recruiting battles are with Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, so that's already begun. It's kind of been a little bit of a tier shift there. And as far as this last year in the Mountain West, I think it's going to be a fun season. The timing is nice for it to be the last year of the current setup, just because I think there's so much parity. We saw last year pretty much every week was a battle for Fresno State, whether they were favored or underdogs. It felt like they could win or lose just about every game. And even Boise State, with their college football playoff run, they had a lot of close calls against teams that weren't necessarily second or third in the conference along the way either. So we take Ashton Genty out of the mix. I think probably like 1 through 10 is going to be pretty dang competitive this year. Makes things interesting because you look at Fresno State's schedule, and there are some favorable home games, but I don't think you can necessarily say that they're going to win or lose any of those individual matchups. They're going to have to bring it, and hopefully this is perfect timing to have a team that really focuses on the line of scrimmage, that puts itself in position to win late games and then takes advantage, because last year's team checked those boxes up until that last time. They had a tough time closing out games, so this might be just a recipe to turn last year's losses into this year's win.
Certainly feels that way, but all the talk now, when we will see that action in just a couple of months plus. So, hey, Jackson, I appreciate you taking the time as always. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can get our coverage of Fresno State football and recruiting at barkboard.com, and you can find me on Twitter at JacksonMoore247.
All right, Jackson Moore, Barkboard, with us again. Appreciate it as always, Jackson. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.
All right, you too. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be right back with more Behind the Bench right after this on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader.
Summer is right around the corner in the Central Valley, and the action of Valley Athletics is heating up too. It's Phil Benotti here to tell you about some of the summer programs for your hooper in your life. Summer AU tryouts are coming up for VBA, so be sure to get signed up by May 27th. Can't make that? There's a makeup tryout on May 29th as well. This leads up to the big VBA Summer Showdown from June through August, which will be going for boys and girls between age 8 and 15. ValleyAthletics.co is the website where you can find all the information and sign up. Valley Athletics, developing the athlete in everyone.
Central Valley, are you ready for a seamless car buying journey? Madera Toyota Chevrolet has you covered. With their 25-year, 250,000-mile warranty and everything priced under MSRP, you're always in for a great deal. Plus, enjoy their no-pressure policy and 2 years of free maintenance on new vehicles, their way of saying thank you for choosing them. And calling all truck lovers, explore their selection of rugged Silverados, powerful Tundras, and versatile Tacomas. Whatever your needs, they have the perfect truck for you. Visit them today at MaderaToyotaChevrolet.com, where every drive begins with trust.
Whether you're planning a special event or simply craving something new, Lynn's Restaurant Group has a variety of dining options to suit any occasion. If you're in the mood for fine dining, Oiza offers a refined Japanese experience. Looking for something quick and delicious? Ramen Hayashi serves up satisfying bowls of ramen in no time. Craving variety? Lynn's Fusion has an endless all-you-can-eat experience with options for everyone. No matter the occasion, Lynn's Restaurant Group makes every meal memorable. Visit lynsrestaurantgroup.com to learn more.
At FFB Bank, we believe banking is more than dollars and cents. It's about people. That's why we're a farming-focused bank for hard workers, a future-forward bank for big dreamers, and a family-friendly bank that actually knows your name. From your first loan to your biggest milestone, FFB Bank has the tools to help you chase your goals, crush them, and score big. Because your wins are our wins too. So what can FFB Bank do for your business? Find out at ffb.bank. That's ffb.bank. FFB Bank. Let's win together. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Whoever it was that said rainy days are followed by rainbows and pots of gold definitely wasn't in the raisin business. Rain in the wrong place at the wrong time can be a disaster, a crop disaster, and a financial disaster. In short, it can mean there's no payday for all of your labor. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be that way. The solution? Crop insurance for raisins. Bowman & Associates, your local crop insurance specialist, has been writing raisin crop insurance for over 40 years. Bowman & Associates is one of the largest crop insurance agencies in the state and the nation. Call Roger, Kent, or Quinn Bowman today and let them design a policy customized to suit your individual growing needs. Time is running out to purchase raisin insurance. With the unstable weather patterns and the current low premium rates, now is the time to call Bowman & Associates at 499-2020. That's 499-2020.
Bowman & Associates, the crop insurance specialist.
License number OF64178.
Hi, I'm Nick Anderson. And I'm Jim Schaefer with Helena Agri-Enterprises. Nick, how important is irrigation management?
Well, Jim, irrigation management is extremely important. When we water our crops, more often than not, we're also fertilizing them. So irrigation uniformity and efficiency are crucial.
Nick, that has to be a challenge considering the different soil types and how they impact water movement.
That's right, Jim. That's why at Helena we recommend using our newest water use management tool, ResGenix. ResGenix is easy to use and designed to increase water infiltration on heavy soils, reduce soil crusting, and increase the holding capacity of sandy soils. Jim, tell the nice people how it works.
ResGenix enhances soil structure by coating the soil particles. Simply put, ResGenix increases pore space in heavy soils and improves aggregation in sandy soils.
At Helena, we lead with agronomy, and water management impacts our crop health and quality. You can visit helenaagri.com to find your local Helena retailer and learn more about Helena products.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader. We are here hanging out on the show here, wrapping up hour number 2. Big thanks to Jackson Moore from Barkboard 24/7 Sports for joining us in the last segment. Jackson Moore, of course, always with the great information, great insight, and we appreciate him taking the time to hop on the show. Also appreciate some of the other faces that hop on the show. Of course, first time we got him here in the studio, or at least producing now. Tanvir's here, taking over for Jorge.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Julia's still here as well on the video side. How are we doing? So we are ready to talk about everything that's going on here. I'm trying to get this. I'm just doing some technical work here while I'm running a radio show, and that is putting on the Stanley Cup Final Game 1 on the TV, which I have done. I hate. Okay, can I just talk about one of my big gripes in sports media? And I understand we're part of sports media and all that stuff, and I understand you have to get people to watch the thing you're watching. But I hate it when networks are so deceptive on when things actually start in a game, because I have had the idea that this hockey game, is starting at 5 o'clock today, and what do I do when I turn on the game? And it's 4:50, and I see the countdown to puck drop timer. It is not 10 minutes till puck drop. It is 30 minutes till puck drop. Drives me insane.
NBA is the worst at it.
NBA is the worst at it too, right?
NHL's right behind it for sure.
Julia, you got to be on the same page for that, right?
100%.
Drives everyone nuts. There are new. I don't know. Maybe we come up with a 5 of 5 idea for this of things that drive me nuts in sports or anything like that. But it has to be up there. I don't know if it. Do you guys have anything else that bothers you in sports coverage or sports anything like that? Or
I mean, for sure they definitely include the whole pregame routine, and that's my whole thing about it. Like, man, just tell me when the game's gonna start.
Right.
You're gonna just tell me, a time on the screen.
Do you have anything, Julia? Do you have a sports pet peeve per se on anything that you pay attention to?
I hate when networks post like times. It's like Eastern time or Pacific time or something like that, but then they switch it around and you don't know what's going on, and I'm just like, can you tell me what time? I'm Pacific time. I want to watch then.
Right? Give me the Pacific time feed. Give me all my times in Pacific time so I don't have to do the math in my head every time, right? We matter over here, right? We talked about this earlier with the sports time zones things as well. So, yeah, Pacific time zone, we exist. Come on, sports media. We matter, all right? That's all I got to say about that. I did say when I was working in North Dakota, I finally learned when they say 8-7 Central, I finally figured out what that actually means. Because when you air a TV program for like any episode that happens on like the network or whatever, right? When they say 8-7 Central, I finally figured out that meant, it's airing live 8 and 7 Central concurrently, and then Mountain and Pacific can just figure it out, apparently. They don't even give you a guideline of when the thing airs.
You think it's too much math, right?
They don't even tell you, though. They don't even tell you. I'm telling you. I'm trying to watch a show, and I'm living in the Pacific time zone. I'm like, when does it start for me? Because I know on the East Coast it starts at 8, and I know on the Central it starts at 7. Mountain could go, itself. And Pacific, I guess, gets the East Coast time zone just 3 hours later. Don't go on Twitter if you're trying to avoid spoilers, kind of thing. Like HBO shows, they always try to. It drives me nuts, right? I'm sure everybody else is. We're all feeling the same way on that, right? So I don't know.
Another gripe: tape delay.
Tape delay.
I know why they do it, but it just drives me crazy.
See, I'm a big reality competition TV person. I like watching my watching my Survivor. That show's been going almost hitting 50 seasons now, by the way. But it drives me nuts because everyone's tweeting about the East Coast thing, and I have to mute words so I don't get spoiled on anything for 3 hours. And of course, even then, sometimes something pops up, and like an Entertainment Tonight thing or whatever pops up for me. I'm like, God, I just want to watch a show without having to know what's going on. I don't know. It just drives me nuts. All right. You know what drives me nuts is the Giants last night, by the way. I haven't mentioned this yet. And I want to talk about did you guys watch any of the Giants game last night? Julia, you're a Giants fan, although you're saying you're going to switch to the Diamondbacks here pretty soon with how poor the Giants have played.
Yeah, I don't even care how the Diamondbacks are doing right now. It's just so frustrating these last two games that I could definitely switch to the Diamondbacks.
We do have some news from the Giants. We'll call it a sports story brought to you by Valley Pure today. The Giants have finally, after me saying it for a month and a half, to DFA Lamont Wade Jr., they have designated him for assignment. The Giants have signed Dom Smith, who has been meddling around in AAA for the Yankees, who is a lefty bat that will be playing first. And apparently we're starting him. We're going to be starting him for the Giants tonight against the Padres, and maybe there's some production there. If Dom Smith could just be an average first baseman, the Giants would be a supremely better team because this, considering they have the best pitching staff in baseball right now, I think that's fair to say. It drives me nuts. By the way, that's 11 straight games where no team has scored more than 4 runs in a Giants game, opponent or other. So we're still on that streak, by the way. Crazy. Did I do the math? We're up to 32 runs in the last 16 games for the Giants. 32 runs in the last 16 games.
You were saying something similar last time, so
yeah,
it definitely could be up there.
I want to get this in before we end the hour. I have a Rocky stat of the day. Are we ready for it? A little ready for a Rocky stat of the day. The Rockies have won 25% of their wins this season in the month of June. It is June 4th.
Hey, they met it was the movable force versus the stoppable object last night, so I'm not surprised that the Marlins gave up or that they lost that game last night, but I mean
25% of the wins. Julia, 25% of your wins come in the month of June. It's 4 days in.
That's actually insane, but you know what? Good for them.
Good for them. First sweep of the year for them. First sweep since 2024. We'll see if they exit futility after that. I don't know who they play. God help them. Stay with us. We got another hour of our show coming up. Phil's 5 at 5. Other stuff coming up as well. We're going to do the schedule draft coming up next as well here on 1430 ESPN.
Hey guys, Phil Benotti here to say a big thank you to all that participated in our Student Athlete of the Week program. It has been an amazing year of sports, and we have seen some fantastic achievements in and outside of the classroom. We want to thank all of our sponsors throughout the season, including a big thank you to the Fieldhouse, who is hosting this year's Student Athlete of the Year banquet. Be sure to swing by the Fieldhouse for all their daily food specials Monday through Friday. Student Athlete of the Week will return next season. We look forward to honoring the next wave of athletes in the Central Valley.
The Fashion Furniture experience includes all of the latest innovations in youth furniture, from bunk beds to homework desks, storage to study. It's the most imaginative use of space you've ever seen. If you're looking for youth furniture options, check out the Kids World collection at Fashion Furniture. There's nothing like it in all of California. On El Paso across from River Park.
My husband and I have worked hard to generate wealth. Now we want to enjoy it, not work hard to manage it. We have to log into too many websites and call too many people to keep track of everything. We want to simplify, view and manage our assets in one place, and make one call if we have changes or questions. We're looking for an experienced financial advisor who can give us that and keep a watchful eye on our money while we're tasting wine in Napa or Paso.
Sounds like you're looking for Thiessen-Duker Modern Wealth Management. Our technology allows you to see all your accounts and how they're doing in one place. And our advisors are well-versed in helping clients in your position. We can even coordinate with your CPA and tax attorney to help keep them on the same page for you. So the only call you'll have to make is Napa or Paso. Visit ThiessenDuker.com to learn more about Thiessen-Duker. We look forward to hearing from you.
The advisors of Thiessen-Duker Modern Wealth Management are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.
Baseball season is in full swing in downtown Fresno. Don't miss a second of the fun and excitement at Chuck Chansey Park with countless promotions, ticket deals, and more. Cheer on your Fresno Grizzlies as they battle it out with the rest of the California League now through the beginning of September. Tickets start at just $8, and with the $3 value menu on select ballpark classics, Grizzly baseball is truly affordable family fun. Grab your seats at FresnoGrizzlies.com or the Chuck Chansey Park ticket office. Grizzlies baseball, it happens here.
For nearly 20 years, Donald P. Dick has been the Valley's go-to expert for solar design and installation. And with their unique price match guarantee, they don't just match the competition, they beat it and give you the difference in cash. Install solar today and start saving money, including the 30% federal tax credits and the various incentive programs that are available when you switch to solar. For a no-obligation quote, call 255-1644 and put Donald P. Dick to the test.
Welcome to A+ Signs.
Thanks. Yeah, I need some custom exterior signs for my business.
Great. What's the name of your business?
C+ Signs.
Wait, you own a sign company?
Yep, C+ Signs.
And you want us, A+ Signs, to make your signs?
Yeah, I need them really fast, and we can't touch our turnaround times.
We are kind of known for that.
For signs that stop traffic, drive traffic, and even direct traffic, call A+ Signs.
Remember, A+ has great technicians to service and repair signs, too.
Yeah, we got a guy, but he's afraid of ladders.
Roger Dunn has the new Callaway Paradigm AI smoke drivers to take your game to the next level. State-of-the-art technology. They've created the most advanced driver face in the history of Callaway Golf. The AI Smart Face is designed to create a sweet spot, and not just the center, but all over the face. AI smoke drivers, fairway irons, and putters. The AI smoke driver, it's sweeter from every spot. Paradigm AI smoke drivers. Remember, you're always number one at Roger Dunn.
Your home of the San Francisco 49ers, 1430 ESPN, the Valley's local sports leader, KFIG Fresno.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Game one of the Stanley Cup final moments away. Oilers and Panthers in the first Stanley Cup rematch in 16 years. Florida looking to repeat in their third straight trip to the finals, while the Oilers come in trying to avenge last year's loss and hoist the cup for the first time since 1990. Oilers have struggled in game ones, 4-12 since Connor McDavid made his playoff debut. It's the second worst mark in the NHL over that span. Edmonton minus 120 tonight on ESPN Bet. The NBA Finals open tomorrow. Thunder and Pacers. OKC has been great all season. Now 4 wins away from a title. MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, playing in his first finals, says it's a surreal feeling.
Yeah, it's hard to even wrap my head around. To know that, like, we're four games away from achieving the ultimate dream as a kid. It's so crazy to, like, be so close. But also, like, winning 4 games at this stage is very hard and is a far ways away. So just to know, like, you're close but still a little bit far is, like, it's a little bit tricky. It throws you off, but it's been super fun.
SGA on NBA Today. Tip-off 8:30 Eastern tomorrow night. Every finals game right here on ESPN Radio. French Open, Novak Djokovic headed to the semis, bouncing back against Alexander Zverev after dropping the first set. Djokovic will match up with world number 1 Jannik Sinner on Friday. Djokovic and Sinner are tied. Sinner has won 3 straight.
What's up, kiddos? Clinton Yates here. Coming up on Thursday, the NBA Finals are here. We'll get you set for Game 1 between the Pacers and the Thunder before breaking down Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That's Thursday on Clinton and Friends at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
He's got the knowledge.
Because once again, I have to come on there and talk about how right I am once again. In anything that it comes to sports.
He's got the questions.
I'm going to lose it. Are you kidding me? What are we doing here?
He's got the guests.
20th head coach in Fresno State history here, Matt. Is it hard to believe sometimes still, the 20th head coach here in program history?
It's all moved really quickly here over the course of the last 5-6 weeks. But super excited to be here.
Phil Benotti is the voice for the Central Valley sports leader. Behind the Bench starts now. Brought to you by Helena Agri.
That's right. Hour number 3 of our show here as we take it to the home stretch, getting you ready for Giants baseball. Game 3 of 4 here. Giants and Padres get set to go here at 6:15 on 14:30. 6:45 pregame. First pitch for the Giants and the Padres here in San Francisco. We will toss it to them then. So one more hour of our show, one more hour of a program. Hope you're doing well. How are we doing on this Wednesday, June 4th? Getting ready for a Stanley Cup Final Game 1, which is starting in a little bit here, live from Edmonton. Of course, tomorrow we'll have the NBA Finals getting started here on 14:30. Pregame coverage coming tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Here locally. 5:30 tip-off between the Thunder and the Pacers. So we've had a great show so far, and I like gamifying some of the things that we talk about, of course. And one of the things I really enjoyed, and hopefully people kind of followed here along, is the schedule drafts last year. I trial ran it with Jorge. Jorge, for the most part, I believe, kicked my butt last year. For the most part. I wonder if I can find the old results here, because I think I have the former results here. Let me see if I can open them up here. But Jorge is going to retire from this one, at least, that we're going to do with the Fresno State football schedule. But I'm inviting new players to play into this one for me. We're going to have Tanvir and Julia here playing with me on the schedule draft. All right, here we go. I got the old results. A lot of red from the Raiders draft, for say the least. So here's how it went down last year. I beat Jorge in the Raiders schedule draft, where the goal of the schedule draft is drafting the games and in hopes of you not having the worst point differential among you. If you have the best point differential among the draftees, you win the game. Raiders schedule, I had a minus 55 point differential with the Raiders. Jorge had a minus 68 with the Raiders last year. Yeah. With the Rams, I'm very mad because I went 6-2 with my Rams picks, but Jorge had a better point differential because I picked the one game the Rams got obliterated in Arizona. So I ended up with a minus 10. No, actually, Jorge ended up winning. I ended up beating Jorge anyway, but he had a minus 15 despite going 3-5. So I ended up winning.
Eagles game?
I had the Eagles game. I had the Cardinals game. I had probably the 2 worst losses for the Rams last year. In the Niners, just an absolute slaughter. I went 1-7 in the Niners games. Jorge went 5-3. Jorge had a plus 40 point differential. I had a minus 59. The only game I got right was picking against my Patriots. So that was how that turned out. And then this is the crazy one because Fresno State last year, Jorge and I went 2-4 in my games picked, and Jorge went 4-2 last year. Funny enough, Jorge had a plus 38 point differential. Okay, that's how it turned out. I was misremembering it when I was telling you guys before break. I misremembered because Jorge had a plus 38 point differential in his picks. He ended up having a plus 38 despite having the UNLV game because he picked up the 48 plus points when they beat New Mexico State 48-0. Fresno State did. So college is a little more volatile. I went minus 14 because I had the Michigan game and that dreaded Washington State game where, I can now say I can detest Mikey Keene's ability on the football field because good riddance. He is a Michigan, and good luck to the Wolverines if they're going to make him a starter. So, without further ado, I want to see if we can do a football scheduled draft. So what we're going to do is we're going to take turns making picks here. We're going to kind of do snake draft style. So the order we decided before the break was me, then Julia, then Tanvir. And then when we go to the next round, it'll be Tanvir, then Julia, then me. So we all have the Fresno State schedule in front of us, right? I'm going to be writing down who picks what, so we'll keep track of what we have. Any questions before you get started? Or is there strategy to this? I'll start with Tanvir on this, and then I'll go to Julia.
I'm definitely looking at some of the, as you said earlier when we were talking during the break, the bye weeks. I didn't really take that into account beforehand, but I definitely am looking at some of these games, and also some of these non-conference games, like some of them. I feel like the conference games generally are a little topsy-turvy. You don't know which is going where. But some of these non-conference games, you can definitely see if there's going to be a W or an L in the column right there.
What about for you, Julia? When you think of the football coming up next year for Fresno State, there's some familiar opponents that you've probably seen from the ASU side, right, where you go to school. So I think ASU's got to play Kansas at one point, I think, last year, right? So you're familiar with some of these opponents. Is there a strategy you've got in what you're going to do here?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because of ASU's last year's season, but I feel like my picks might be a little more crazy or out there.
Okay.
But, I have faith in the Bulldogs, and I think that they can do pretty well.
All right, so we'll see how this goes. So let's see how it goes. And without further ado, I will start with the number one overall pick on the Fresno State football schedule. And I do think there is a pretty consensus number one pick. I just simply don't think I don't know much about their program, but I do think it's going to be an interesting atmosphere. Going to be a very strange opponent that Bulldogs have never faced, really, I don't believe, before, and probably won't since, but we'll see. I am going to take the Southern game at home. I'm taking the FCS opponent. I got burnt last year by doing it because Sac State actually put up a good fight, but I'm going to take the Southern game on September 13th, so that's the week 4. I'm going to mark the date on it too. So September 13th versus Southern is off the board for me. I don't know what time the game is. We're going to be coming off the Oregon State game, but I have faith that the Bulldogs can play some pretty good football against Southern, so that's where I'm at. So Julia, you're up next.
Okay, like I said, I feel like mine may be a little crazy, but I'm going to pick Kansas first.
Wow. All right. The Kansas game off the board at Kansas.
They did really well against Michigan last year, and I feel like they play up even whether it's home or away. So I think that it's going to be a close game.
I do smell a win there for the Bulldogs. I do think that's a good quality pick for me. There's a lot of risk to it, but the Bulldogs traditionally have played well on the road. Kansas is a team that's very volatile. Kansas found so many ways to lose last year. I think you remember like all the one-score games that they barely got out of it, right? So that's an interesting pick. I think that's a solid one. Tanvir, where are you at?
I'm kind of torn between 3 games. Obviously, if we're doing Snake, right?
Yeah, so you get 2 picks.
I get 2 picks. I'm torn between 3. These guys aren't going to come back to me anyway, so I might as well just say it. I'm choosing between Wyoming, Nevada, and Georgia Southern.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick Nevada at home.
Versus Nevada. All right.
Coming off of a bye week. The Fresno State Bulldogs have won four straight against them, and I just don't see Nevada improving as much, and it's a home game. So I like that. And then my second game, I'm going to go with Georgia Southern. It's the second game of the season. It's the home opener. It's going to be rockin' at Valley Children's Stadium. I think that even though Georgia Southern has given some Mountain West opponents some trouble, I believe they played Boise State last year.
They played Boise tough last year.
And they played them tough last year, but I think being a home opener, I think they can get something done in there. So I'm going to go with Georgia Southern and Nevada.
I think Georgia Southern game, that's when Jay Ajayi had, or not Jay Ajayi, Ashton Genty had the most amount of yards and touchdowns. I think everybody really, it was like a crazy Ashton Genty game, but I thought that Georgia Southern game would last a little bit longer. So interesting to see it go there. That frees up a little bit here. But Julia, where are we going next for you here at pick number 2?
I think I'm going with Wyoming.
Okay.
They have a bye week before. I feel like that might be a little safer guess for one. And I think that's going to be a good game, good atmosphere.
Wyoming was a weird team last year. I couldn't get a feel on them. I kind of thought they were one of the worst teams in football last year, to be honest with you. I'm wondering if I can pull up their schedule real quick of where they were, because it was a rough watch if you were watching Wyoming football last year.
They went 3-9.
They absolutely got destroyed by Arizona State. I think you may have been you remember that game because it was at ASU. And ever since then, 3-9 is the way the season went for them. So. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see improvements. The Craig Bowl era is coming on now for that Wyoming squad, coming off the bye. That's a really good, solid pick for you. I have 2 picks at the turn here. Fascinating spot I have here. I'm going to try to take another home game. I'm taking the Utah State game, the home finale for the Bulldogs senior night, because I think that's the easiest one left at home. In my opinion, Utah State doesn't compel me to feel like there's going to be a lot going for this program, although I will say that we had a somewhat decent season last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to check on that, but it's one of those Mountain West teams I'm just not feeling very confident in their ability. 4-8 last year, yeah, so not nothing to write home about. They did get wins against Wyoming. That's fine. They absolutely destroyed Hawaii and San Diego State last year when it really didn't matter. So there is some credit to that. But I just don't know if Utah State's got the juice to compete with the Bulldogs. I got one more pick. Man, am I going to take 3 home games? I'm taking the San Diego State game here next. I know San Diego State plays us tough, and that's a dangerous one for us. But I think the last time we had San Diego State here in our stadium, that was when we recovered a onside kick and ended up winning in dramatic, crazy fashion. So I'll pick it. It's coming off the bye week, and hopefully it's not a look-ahead game against the game the next week after that, the Boise State game. So that's where I'm sitting. Up next, we got Julia here.
All right, I think I'm going to take Colorado State.
At Colorado State, Friday night, short week.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this pick, but again, I have faith. I feel like, it was a close game last year. I feel like it could be a close game again this year. So I don't know. I'm just going to put my faith in the Bulldogs and hope for the best with this one.
It's a decent one. The game was kind of the best the Bulldogs looked towards the tail end of the season. It was the one that they clinched the bowl game opportunity for when they beat them on their senior night. We'll see. Colorado State's an interesting program. They have a little bit of fight with what they got with their coach, but this is the first time we're playing at Colorado State since I want to say since like 2016 or 17 or something crazy like that. It's been a while since we played at Colorado State, so we'll see how they do in Fort Collins. I remember I was at the last game at Fort Collins, by the way, and it got ugly. Michael Gallup, legit player for Colorado State back then. Tanvir, you've got 2 picks to round out what you've got. What do you got here?
All right, so let's go with I'm going to go with the San Jose State game to end the season.
All right, at San Jose.
I think that it's always a tough rivalry for sure. San Jose State had Nick Nash leave for the NFL, so I think they're going to have to rely on some other targets this year. I know the Battle of the Valley is generally a close game, but I think that if Fresno State is going to start winning some games this year, I think this is definitely a game that they have to win at the end of the season. Possibly, they might get bowl eligibility before this, but you never know, right? With a change.
The last time the Valley Championship for real will be, although I think they kind of added some games to their schedule, even despite leaving the Mountain West, they'll still have more games against San Jose State. So
okay, and then so what do we have left? We got Oregon State left.
We got the Oregon State game, we got the Hawaii game, and the Boise State game all on the road.
I'm definitely going away from that Boise State game. I know they lost Ashton Genty, but that's still a very good team with a couple of quarterbacks coming back. I'm going to go with the Hawaii game. Another tough – I know that's a very tough rivalry game, but early in the year, I think coming off of that Southern win, if they do win against Southern University, I think they can get some momentum going into that game and have a real good offensive output against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors in Honolulu.
Some inexplicable results happen in Hawaii for very talented Fresno State teams. I'm telling you, I was there in 2021. I remember, out having fun in Minneapolis, and it was 2:30, and I watched the Bulldogs somehow screw up that game in Hawaii and basically drop out of the rankings and never really got back to it in 21. So a shame there for the Hawaii season. All right, Julia, between two games, Oregon State, Boise State, where are you leaning?
Yeah, I know I said I was going to take wild picks, but I'm not taking Boise State. I'm going to go with Oregon State.
All right.
I think that they're pretty similar teams. They had pretty similar records last year, so I feel like that will be a pretty decent game.
In Corvallis, so far as we know, the only true day game the Bulldogs are going to be playing this season, although can you count it with Kansas with a 5:30 kickoff time. But 12:30 kickoff time in Oregon State, in Corvallis. That home field, pretty underrated. I'm interested to see what that'll look like. Of course, with the Pac-12, this is kind of a preview to new Pac-12 opponents for Fresno State. So eventually this will become a conference game. So fascinating, interesting game, to say the least. A very winnable game, but also one that we could definitely see trip up as well. The Bulldogs heartbreakingly lost to Oregon State, 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, as well, in the last second. So you never know. And I get stuck with the Boise game, right? So that's what it is. If there's one thing working for the Bulldogs going into that Boise game, it is the fact that they will be coming off of 2 bye weeks already from that point of the season, and they can really – there's something freeing about players that can say there's a bye week to follow as well, that they can play with a little less, more abandon per se, a little more reckless to the ability that they know they can maybe recover a couple more times, so maybe they go after it a little bit more. So I'll take that into account, but I'm not feeling great. It does feel like Boise State's going to be the toughest test for the Bulldogs this season. I think that's fair, and I think that's right where it points out to. So there it is. That is the Fresno State football draft, scheduled draft. I'll go over the teams again real quick. So what I got: Southern, Utah State, San Diego State, Boise State. That's what I got. I'll read the team, and then I'll have your reaction real quick. So, Julia, you've got at Kansas, home Wyoming, at Colorado State, at Oregon State. How are you feeling?
I trust in the Bulldogs.
Okay.
I ride for them. And, again, going to Arizona State, I'm all for the underdogs always. So.
Okay. You have the most road games. It's interesting. You got the 3 of the 4 road games there. So, Tanvir's got home Nevada, home Georgia Southern, at San Jose State, at Hawaii. How do you feel about that slate?
I think I did pick 2 rivalry games that I definitely think could be very close, but I do trust with Fresno State's playing some of these first-time opponents like a Georgia Southern, they can get stuff done. I also tried to look at the bye weeks. I was thinking about Wyoming. Maybe thinking back at it, maybe I should have took Wyoming over Georgia Southern, but hey, I'm fine with what I picked.
It's interesting. I have a lot of the late games. Julia, you're kind of mixed around the schedule, and Tanvir, I think you got more of the earlier side outside of the San Jose State finale. So we'll see how it all plays out. I'm very interested. Bulldogs are going to be an interesting team. And what this speaks to, and the exercise I like to look at too, is where the pitfalls are, where the evenness of the schedule is. To me, this schedule feels even. It feels very spread apart as far as the amount. There's no peaks or valleys in terms of the talent per se of what they're facing, as opposed to maybe we saw Michigan way up here and New Mexico State way down here. I don't see that. It feels more of a plateau with the strength of the schedule. Are you guys? That's what I like doing with this exercise, is to look at where the peaks and valleys are. I'm sure you guys are kind of feeling the same way. Like, that's a pretty even schedule the way it looks.
I feel like it works to favor, especially early on in the season. With Fresno State, I feel like they're a team that you can definitely understand where they're going throughout the season very early on. And with a tough game like Kansas, hopefully we see what they implement in their system early on, so we can see how they move into the bye weeks. They got 3 bye weeks, so I think this is going to work out very well for me, especially.
Julia, anything else to add on the spread and just kind of the thought exercise with the schedule in a way?
Yeah, I think it was interesting because we all talked about before this in the commercial break that this was definitely a tough draft. I mean, there were a lot of games that could go either way, and so I think it's going to be really interesting.
Very interesting indeed. We will have another one on Friday when I think we do the Rams, so we'll see who's here and see how it all will go that way. All right, good luck. Let's take a break. When we come back, we got the Phils 5 at 5 coming up next on the 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader.
Hey, this is Marcus McMarion.
Options to Rivers, trying to turn the corner, he'll get there. Painter into the orange.
Your 2018 Mountain West Bulldog champion. Excited to represent Bulldog Bread, the official NIL collective of Fresno State Athletics. Become a Bulldog Bread member today. The team grows as the Valley grows.
Touchdown,
Bulldog born, Bulldog bred. Support your Fresno State student athletes by visiting bulldogbread.com. Go Dogs.
At Citizens Business Bank, we've been taking a personal approach to banking for over 40 years and are consistently recognized as one of the top performing banks in the nation. Hi, I'm Susan Woosner, Senior Vice President and Manager of Citizens Business Bank in Fresno. We believe in the importance of building long-lasting and genuine relationships with our customers. We want to provide you with the solutions you need to grow your business because your success is our success. Citizens Business Bank, member FDIC.
Sports fans, whether you're gearing up for your next adventure or simply searching for the perfect ride, Ed Dina's Auto Center has you covered. Now, let's hear from the 2018 Mountain West champion, Marcus McMarion.
Hey, it's Marcus McMarion. At Ed Dina's Auto Center, they'll make car shopping as smooth as a game-winning play. Whether it's a truck, SUV, or the car of your dreams, their incredible team is here to guide you every step of the way. Ed Dina's Auto Center in Dinuba and now in Visalia off Mooney Boulevard. Online at eddinasautocenter.com.
Here comes that Fresno heat. Now's the time to make sure your AC is running correctly and ready for the Fresno summer. Luckily, Fresno has locally owned Lee's Air to make sure everyone is residing comfortably in their own homes. Staying out of the heat is much easier when you have the experts from Lee's Air keeping your AC running smooth throughout the grueling Fresno summer. Schedule your regular maintenance today to make sure you don't have any AC problems this summer at leesair.com. Lee's Air, your local comfort trusted experts. License number 635355.
What happens when your determination to advance your career meets online education? More than you ever thought possible. At Fresno Pacific University, we're committed to our mission. We're committed to you. That's why we're continually bringing new programs online. Complete your bachelor's or master's degree in a format that works for you. Discover what's possible at Fresno Pacific University. Learn more at online.fpu.edu.
Is a cracked screen or dying battery putting the brakes on your day? Swing by Self-Fix for lightning-fast phone repairs. Our expert techs are wizards with all major brands, guaranteeing your device is back in action before you know it. Plus, every fix comes with our rock-solid warranty. Drop by 6751 North Blackstone or dial 559-765-8044 to lock in your spot. Self-Fix, your ultimate ally in phone rescue. Stay plugged in, only with Self-Fix.
No matter the time, morning, noon, or night, Black Bear Diner in Fresno has you covered. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner served all day just the way you like it. At Black Bear Diner in Fresno, you can count on them serving up hearty portions that satisfy even the hungriest appetites. Plus, the little Cubs can enjoy their brand new Cubs Corner too. So gather your family and friends, bring your appetite, and make it a meal to remember at Black Bear Diner in Fresno, corner of Sean Martin. Black Bear Diner.
The wait is over. Valley Pure presents Crazy Horse, the wild new flower from Cowgirl Cannabis. This isn't just a strain, it's an experience. Ready to get on the wild side? Then saddle up and ride with Crazy Horse. Available now only at Valley Pure. Bold, untamed, unforgettable. Don't just hear about it, live it. Get to one of Valley Pure's 5 locations and grab your Crazy Horse today. Cowgirl Cannabis. Blaze the trail.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader. We already have an update from the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton Oilers already up 1-0, just over a minute into the game. Leon Draisaitl scores a goal, and here we go. The Oilers are on a mission to get some revenge here against the Florida Panthers. What a start for the Oilers here. Of course, it is 1 goal into game 1. We will see how it plays out. But I said it before, and kind of indicative of the NBA Finals, too. It's what is going to win out here. A very defensively sound team like the Panthers are versus an offensive team that pushes the pace and makes you feel the pressure over and over again. The Oilers are in that same fashion. So, very interested to see that dichotomy, and going to be very interesting to see that with the NBA Finals, which gets going tomorrow, like we said, on 1430 right here, that you could listen to starting at 4:30 pregame Thursday, or Pacers and Thunder. So we gear to the 5-5 round. The 5 things I'm looking forward to most watching this NBA Finals, or the things I'm going to be looking at most to see how this will all play out here in the NBA Finals. So, without further ado, we get the 5-5 ready, and we will play the intro.
5 at 5 with Benotti is brought to you by FFB Bank, Financial Foundation Banking. What does FFB mean to you?
The 5 things I'm paying attention to in the NBA Finals. Of course, we got producer Tanvir in here, who, Tanvir, you're more than welcome to comment on the NBA chatter. I'm sure you're thrilled and ready to go about this NBA Finals. I think for basketball junkies, I think this is an interesting Finals, to say the least. Do you have any overarching thoughts before I dive into this top 5?
I think a lot of fans may see this matchup and be kind of disappointed that there's 2 small market teams, but I love it. Like, Indiana, they've been playing amazing. What they did against the Knicks was very impressive. The way that they were able to switch the speed of play so effortlessly against the Knicks. And then you got the Thunder, who have been the best team in the NBA, bar none, so far this year. They've ran through a couple of good teams in the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. And with how deep their bench is, I'm going to be interested to see how they are able to implement those pieces against the Pacers.
So let's see what we got looking forward to. Here are my 5 things I'm going to be watching for in the NBA Finals here starting tomorrow.
Number 5.
Which team with the Finals experience will it matter more from? And now I look at 2 players that are involved in this Finals where they have a championship on both of these teams. There is pedigree here. And I look at Pascal Siakam for the Indiana Pacers and what he did in 2019. And I look at Alex Caruso, what he did for the Lakers back in 2020 in winning a ring. So both players, I think, have high level of impact on both of these teams. I would say Siakam maybe just slightly more based on what he's capable of. But Caruso has been phenomenal defensively for the Thunder and what he's been able to do. I'm curious to see where those guys can emerge as far as players that these very young teams will lean on as far as the finals experience is concerned. A reminder, this is the second youngest combined age of teams entering a finals since the shot clock era in 1955. The teams have averaged 26.3 years of age. All the other finals that are surrounding this finals, we're talking the 60s and the 50s and all that kind of era. So this is something we have not seen in quite some time as far as the youth is concerned. But there is a championship pedigree on each of these teams. I'm curious which of those players versus Caruso versus Siakam can emerge, understand the nature of the stage. Tips off tomorrow. What do you say, Tanvir?
I think on paper it's clear that Siakam is more of a game changer of the two, but I also want to bring up the fact that the Timberwolves were so inconsistent on the boards and in the paint due to Holmgren and Hartenstein. And so I think Siakam, how well he played against Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I don't know about you, maybe to some surprisingly an Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I think he's going to have to come up big. I understand Alex Caruso is going to be on the defensive side of the ball, looking towards stopping Tyrese Halliburton. But I definitely think Siakam, of the two that you listed, is who the Pacers are going to have to lean on more than anybody, in my opinion.
Certainly.
Number 4.
What is going to be allowed by the refs starting game 1, game 2, and what the reaction will be between these teams? Because let's be honest, these teams are teams that are reliant on the call to be called when it comes to frustrating their opponent. It's a little bit of looking in the mirror and the way those strategies can be implemented as far as the way they go after it. But also these teams are very hyperactive when it comes to how they attack the ball handlers on either side. So I'm curious to see how far it goes with the referees in this finals. It seems like these playoffs have been a little more swallow the whistle than most, I would say. I'm very curious to see what standard is set in game 1 and 2 between these two teams that I think are very similar in the way they can push the envelope when it comes to fouls and all that.
I think a similar point to that is this turnover battle, strength versus strength. We have the Pacers who don't turn the ball over at all, even through Tyrese Halliburton, and you have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's one of their defining aspects is turning the ball over from their opponents. And so maybe with the Oklahoma City Thunder being a little bit more of an aggressive team in terms of turnover creation, you could see the whistle go to their end. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a mastermind at drawing the whistle, and I think that he will be a big point of emphasis from the referee standpoint in this series. But I also think that this turnover battle between these two teams is going to be indicative of how much the whistle is held or not.
Number 3.
The defensive statistics that the Thunder have versus what the Pacers are going to try to do offensively, and whether the Pacers are going to play with the pace that they did have against the Knicks. Now, it made sense to play with that pace against the Knicks because the Knicks refused to go into their depth and refused to adjust to the way the Pacers were running them around on the basketball court. It was just not sustainable for the Knicks to match up with the Pacers with the way they did. But you cannot do that to this Thunder team. This Thunder team is too deep for you to run them out of the building. So I'm very curious to see what they can do to attack offensively. Sometimes the Pacers got into their own trouble when things slowed down. In some capacity, the Knicks were able to figure it out a few times in that series. The Thunder, I think, are more capable of that. I worry that in that sense that the Pacers can be forced into a different hand as opposed to what they've been doing in the playoffs, because I don't think they've faced a force like defensively like the Thunder they've had all season long, even with the Cavs and the way they manhandled them, and even with the Bucks before that throughout their Pacers run.
Yeah, the big matchup I'm looking for is Tyrese Halliburton versus Lou Dort or Cason Wallace. Both of those guys, two of the best on-ball defenders in the league, and I think they're going to be tasked with a tough task as in form as Halliburton is. And I was looking up stats on this, and in the two regular season matchups, Halliburton struggled to score against these guys, and Halliburton had an unusually low number of drives. And I think if Halliburton can get to the paint against Dort and Wallace and Caruso, then you could probably see the Pacers and get the advantage on the offensive side of the ball. Otherwise, I think that the Thunder are just too deep and too good at defense for the Pacers to get anything good.
Let's go to number 2.
Number 2.
How big of a difference maker the coaches can be. I argue Rick Carlisle is probably the best coach, if not the second or third best coach in the NBA. It is indicative of what he did when he was in Dallas and how he was able to run that Dallas team with Dirk. And let's just be honest, the cast of characters to go beat what we all thought was a juggernaut Heat team with LeBron, Bosh, Wade, and made LeBron a shell of himself with the way he strategized against that Heat team. Rick Carlisle, the architect of that. Carlisle's a guy who has seen every situation that you can face in a playoff situation. He has been to a finals. He's won it all. All respect to Coach Daigneault, who's been a phenomenal coach all year. You genuinely can get curious sometimes when guys who are there for the first time, how they react, how they figure it out. Now, we've seen some guys who get to their first finals and make it happen. We've seen Tyronn Lue do it in that fashion. Steve Kerr clearly did it in his first fashion as well. But there's some times where these young coaches get a little in front of themselves. Ime Udoka a little bit, I think can sometimes be that example as well. So I'm curious to see what kind of result we get. If there's curious moments here in the coaching decision, I trust Carlisle the whole way. I'm curious what Daigneault will look like in the finals here.
Yeah, Carlisle has the tenure. You know, the Mavericks run that is at this point legend, right? Mm-hmm. He's definitely got the advantage in the coaching matchup. But I will say, last time that a first-time finals appearance resulted in a win for a coach was Nick Nurse in 2019.
Yeah.
And I think that I see a lot of similarities between the Thunder and the Raptors in terms of you got a linchpin that can score the ball with Kawhi and Shea, and then you have an amazing defense. And if Daigneault can just put together what he has been doing over these last 3 series, I think that he will be very successful. But I definitely think that if the Pacers are to win, they're going to have to go through Rick Carlisle and his tenure for sure.
I'm serious when it comes to this. Rick Carlisle is probably the best at challenging plays when he needs to challenge them too. He's been phenomenal at that
smart
aspect. I think he's been the best coach when it comes to even using that to leverage situations for the Pacers. He has pushed every correct button, in my opinion, and maximized the ability the Pacers have had through this playoff run.
Number 1.
And just the pure interesting nature of these two guys, SGA, Halliburton. I think this is the clear and evident number 1, but these are 2 guys that epitomize what happens when you undervalue players early in their careers and where they go from there. And it's 2 chip-on-the-shoulder guys that just feel like when either of them become an NBA champ feels like a phenomenal story to me with where they started in their career to where they are now. I know SGA is the MVP, and SGA has had the roses thrown to him throughout this whole season with how he's been able to play, and he's at a level where we're seeing him lead the NBA in scoring and becoming one of, maybe if he wins the title, one of the few guys to lead the league in scoring, win MVP, and have the best record in basketball since like Michael Jordan was doing it, and some other greats out there as well. It's one of the all-time seasons if he takes care of it. But I think Tyrese Halliburton has entered the conversation of, and I say this with all seriousness, at this moment, top 5 guy in the NBA potential, with his clutch ability, with his ability to attack, with his ability to be frustrating on the defensive end as well. I think Tyrese Halliburton I think there's a lot of respect for Tyrese Halliburton from this playoffs. And if he wins a title, this is one of the best bleeping runs we've ever seen in NBA history for a guy to bring a team a title like this. I'm fascinated which way it'll go.
Yeah, I think this is where the crux of my excitement is for this series, right? You have 2 guys who are on the cusp of becoming big-time names in the NBA's future, where you have guys like LeBron leaving in the next couple of years. You have Tyrese Halliburton. He was a Kings player originally, got traded, was voted as the most overrated player in the league somehow, some way. Then you got SGA on the other side, who has been he is the MVP, but people have said that he's, he draws fouls at an insane rate, and they don't really care about the other aspects of his game. So I am going to be very interested to see how both of those guys take to the moment, and how, when either of them win it, what conversation we're having about them. As you said, Tyrese may be a top 5 player.
That was Phil's 5 at 5.
I think it's an interesting list. Is there anything I omitted, Tanvir, that of the 5 that I kind of stated, or do you feel like that's pretty much covers what we got coming up tomorrow?
I think there was a lot of good covered there. My one thing that I wanted to talk about was Chet Holmgren's impact in this matchup. I think that he wasn't involved in either of the regular season games between these two, and I think that with Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam on the other side, I think similar to how Siakam needs to come up big against Hartenstein and Holmgren, I think Holmgren needs to come up big against Turner and Siakam.
For those who are lamenting the fact that this is a random NBA Finals between 2 random teams, may I remind you this statistic, and maybe it doesn't feel as random. This is the 5th time in the last 30 season featured 2 of the teams with the best record since January 1st going into the NBA Finals. This is the 5th time we've seen it. The other times, I would say some all-time finals. Bulls over Supersonics, Bulls over Jazz, Jazz with the Bulls beating them as well. Then 2015 Warriors-Cavs. We have not had that since 2015 Warriors-Cavs. Pacers, Thunder have been the best 2 teams in the NBA since June 1st. I know people feel surprised by them being here, but this is it. I think these are the 2 right teams that need to be in these NBA Finals, and I think that's the statistic that shows it the best, right?
I mean, maybe at the start of the playoffs you might not have thought it, but as these playoffs have gone on, I've been loving watching both of these teams play, and I'm so excited to see it all fold tomorrow.
Stanley Cup final update. The Florida Panthers just scored with 9:11 to go in the first period. 1-1 in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back to close out the show here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader.
Tune in every weekday to the Sportsline Bulldog Hour with Tony D, brought to you by Precision Civil Engineering. Be sure to listen at 2 p.m. to hear everything you need to know about Fresno State athletics. Don't miss out on the insight and conversations you need to stay up on the Bulldogs with insiders like Paul Leffler, Jackson Moore, and Ralph Wood. If it's 2 p.m., it's the Bulldog Hour with Tony D, each weekday on 1430 ESPN Fresno.
Warmer days and special occasions are on the way. Is your wardrobe ready? Jones Cleaning Center has you covered. Fast, reliable, and hassle-free. Use Fresno's only 24-hour self-service pickup and drop-off drive-thru. Drop off by 9 a.m. and enjoy same-day service at no extra cost. From suits to sundresses and comforters to table linens, they'll get it all fresh and ready. Jones Cleaning Center, Fresno's top dry cleaning and laundry service for over 55 years. On Palm, just north of Herndon in Fresno, or online at jonescleaning.com.
It would be a bit of an understatement to say there are plenty of men's clothing brands out there. At Patrick James, we're a bit biased. We offer comfortable, high-quality clothing at very competitive prices. Patrick James delivers impeccable classic looks that keep your wardrobe moving forward in a confident, modern direction. See for yourself online or come into our store on 780 West Shaw to find the style and brands you're looking for at Patrick James.
For over 60 years, we at DeBudo Defendus Insurance, a multi-generational and family-owned company, have proudly provided high-quality risk management and insurance solutions to local businesses. We stand on a tradition of solving insurance pain points in a wide range of industries like agriculture, construction, hospitality, transportation, and many others. A partnership and personal touch is what you can expect from us at DeBudo Defendus Insurance. Visit DIBU.com and get the business insurance you need today.
License number 0E02096.
Summer is right around the corner in the Central Valley, and the action at Valley Athletics is heating up too. Phil Benotti here to tell you about the big VBA College Coaches Camp coming on June 1st. We're talking about one of the biggest volleyball camps for high schoolers as far as recruitment with some of the biggest coaches in the area. Spots are limited, so be sure to sign up fast. Speaking of space, you can use the beautiful facilities at Valley Athletics for gym rentals when available. Pickleball memberships are also available as well. Just reach out for information at their website, valleyathletics.co. Valley Athletics, developing the athlete in everyone.
Need cash? If you've got a car, we've got the cash. Clausen Honda wants to buy your car. If it's running, we want your late model Toyota, Hyundai, Kia, Subaru, Acura, or Honda. Just call Clausen and ask for our VUP to schedule your appraisal appointment. In just 10 minutes, you'll get your cash value quote. Yes, we are eliminating the hassle of getting rid of your used old car. So if you're ready to sell, we are ready to buy. Call Clausen Honda of Fresno today. If you've got a car, we've got the cash. Get cash for your car. Clausen Honda.
Take me out to the ball game.
Baseball is back, and it doesn't get any better than the Fieldhouse Sports Bar and Grill, indoors or on the patio. Root for your team while enjoying their famous burgers, dogs, and fries. And did you know they have the coldest beer in town? No, seriously. With 16 draft beers on tap, served in an ice-cold pint, it'll sure get you cool for the summer. The Fieldhouse Sports Bar and Grill. Food, sports, fun. On Copper Avenue at the entrance to the beautiful Copper River Ranch.
It's crunch time, and KFC's got the winning play. Right now, grab a 10-piece bucket of the Colonel's hot, crispy fried chicken, thighs, and drumsticks for just $15.99. And if you're planning on feeding the whole team, make it a meal with sides and biscuits for just $10 more. That's big-time flavor without blowing the budget. So, whether you're watching the big game or feeding your starting lineup, this bucket brings home the W. No errors, no drops, just finger-looking good chicken from KFC, where every bite is a game changer.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Bench here on 1430 ESPN Fresno, the Valley's local sports leader. One more big thank you to all of our guests who have been on the show today. Camryn Bracha from Fresno State Football, the safety for Fresno State Football, joining us earlier in the show. Jackson Moore from Barkboard also joining us earlier in the show. So big thank you to both of our guests who were on today. So appreciate them. So, in response to all of the things that are going on, of course, you've missed any of the show, you can go listen to it on our app, on our 1430 ESPN Fresno website. That's where you can find it if you missed any of the show today. So, that'll be posted pretty soon after we're done here, so be sure to tune in for that. What was I going to say? Update on the Stanley Cup Finals. In the time that we took a break and came back, so it is 2-1 Panthers in the first period. On the first goal, we were watching it. We thought it was initially a goalie interference possible play that would take the goal off, but it appeared that the Oilers tripped the player into the goalie, which actually caused a power play to happen for the Florida Panthers. And on that power play, the Panthers would then go on and score their second goal. So insult to injury for the Oilers, a pretty horrible minute and a half for the Oilers there to not only see the goal go in, commit a penalty to allow the goal go in, and then on that ensuing power play, another goal goes in. So I would say that is not ideal winning hockey, to say the least, for the Oilers. Brad Marchand scoring that second goal, so that's going to hurt more for me as a former Bruins fan. Or I'm not a former Bruins fan. I'm a Bruins fan, but, I'm feeling like I could be a former one. Rough times for fandoms for me right now. But no one's gonna care about my Red Sox or anything like that. You see the wild game the Red Sox played earlier today?
Let me hear about it.
Like 9 combined runs in the first inning between them and the Angels. Ended up hitting a walk-off home run that went about 309 feet.
I saw that. It was like right next to the post, right?
I think it's this. I read the stat. It is the third shortest home run ever in the StatCast era, which was back in 2015. I'd got to imagine it's the shortest walk-off home run in MLB history.
Yeah, I saw that. That was wild. It went right around the post. I was like, "There's no way it's getting."
So Ceddanne Rafaela has he bats from the left side, right? Or he bats from the right side, and he just like kind of pokes it down the line, and it just curves around the pole, and I think all the broadcasters didn't even know what happened. Like, is that gone? It's gone, and that's it. 11-9, Red Sox win. Apparently, if the Red Sox had lost, I had a buddy who was going to drive a broom over to the station and drop it off for me because he's an Angels fan. So I was not feeling great after that. So still got three more days with that later. But speaking of avoiding sweeps, the Giants need to win tonight to at least avoid the possibility of that tomorrow. And so if the Giants fans are listening, are getting ready to listen to this baseball game, a reminder that that's coming up at 6:15. Giants and Padres set to do battle from San Francisco. Boy, what a brutal game last night, just an out away from all that ending, and Camilo Doval blows the save, but let's be fair, I can't blame that loss on Camilo Doval. That is just not where you just can't put this pitching staff in the position to be superheroes all day and expect that a 2-run lead is as good as it can be for this Giants team. Elliot Ramos with one swing of the bat, 2-run homer. That was it last night. And from then on, the Giants continue to confound with the inability to score and put guys into a scoring opportunity. Last night in the 10th, they did it again. 2 hard-hit balls that just ended up being outs instead of producing runs for this Giants team. So we'll see if they can bounce back on it tonight. I got to check who the probable starter is tonight for the Giants, which is, according to my app, it's Kyle Harrison going at it for tonight with the very exuberant Nick Pivetta going for the Padres. So that is the starting matchup for the Giants tonight. Giants lineup will look like this. We get a new face in the lineup here as we recognize that Lamont Wade got DFA'd. Sam Huff got DFA'd as well, the backup catcher. They also sent down Christian Koss for the Giants. So a lot of different new faces coming on this Giants lineup. So here's how it look. Elliot Ramos will be leading off tonight. Jung-Hoo Lee is going to be in the second spot. Wilmer Flores is going to be batting third. Matt Chapman at 4 spot in the cleanup spot. Dominic Smith, who they signed from the Yankees, who was in the Yankees AAA system. Of course, before that, he was a National, he was a Met, he was a Red Sox, kind of a journeyman first baseman guy. Funny enough, he was actually in the same draft as Aaron Judge. I think he was picked literally right before Aaron Judge, Dominic Smith, in the 2013 draft. First baseman, lefty bat, has a little bit of pop, just needs to just play average baseball, to be honest with you, for this Giants team to go anywhere. Willie Adames is going to bat sixth. They also call up this guy, Daniel Johnson, who previously was in the Orioles AAA system, a lefty bat who plays right field. Shout out Vallejo, California. He's from Vallejo. So Daniel Johnson coming in. He's going to play right field. Patrick Bailey in the catching spot. And then Tyler Fitzgerald rounds out the order. So we are pulling up some wake-up calls. Willie Adames needs a little bit of a wake-up call, 203 on his average. You just can't pay the amount of money the Giants have paid for him to bat only 203 right now. So we did a little bit more on that action as well. So Giants game tonight. That's what's going on. We don't even want to talk about what's going on over 790. You might fact check me on that, Julia. I can't hear if I got that. Games have lost on. They're playing the Twins tonight. That's getting going at 6:30. That's a pregame starting at 6:30. First pitch over at 7:05. I will say Gonzo, I guess, after we talked on Monday, went to the ball game on Monday after saying he was waiting until the Braves come into town, sent me a picture, and I've seen bigger crowds at Grizzly games, let's be honest with you. So, A's baseball, nothing like it. Tomorrow, it's going to be a very strange game schedule tomorrow. Giants and Padres going to start at 12:15 tomorrow with a first pitch at 12:45. We will have the game on 14:30. When it wraps up, Behind the Bench will begin. And then we will wrap up at 4:30 and toss it to the NBA Finals. Thunder and Pacers Game 1 pregame will start at 4:30. 5:30 is the tip-off time. We will be at Fashion Furniture. We're not sure for how long. You want to come hang out? We'll be there. We'll have the pizza, all the great stuff. And I would say I think we're going to have a really good guest. I believe we have locked in our interview tomorrow with some members of the Armenia basketball team. If not, we will have that interview at some point for you towards this week, maybe Friday as well. Friday, we'll have a normal schedule. Sportsline Bulldog Hour with Tony D from 2 to 3. We'll have my show from 3 to 6 going into the night there. Before the Giants will take on the Braves for the weekend, starting at 6:45 on Friday with a first pitch at 7:50. Giants shake up the lineup, all that great stuff. Kyle Harrison going at it. We have 11 straight games where no team has scored more than 5 runs either side in this Giants game. Does it change up tonight from this Giants team tonight, or are we getting more choking from this team? Julia, what do you got?
Honestly, I don't have a lot of faith right now. I was really hoping after Monday night it would have lit a fire, but clearly that did not happen.
No.
So maybe after 2, third time's the charm, but I'm not feeling too good right now.
They've yet to beat the Padres this year. I wonder what they can do tonight. We are out of time, and I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you to all our guests today. We'll be back at it tomorrow after the Giants wrap up this series with San Diego. Thank you, Tanvir. Thank you, Julia, for what you do. And we will see you tomorrow after Giants baseball. Coming up next, 6:15, Giants pregame starts then. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, guys, it's Phil Benotti with Behind the Bench.